Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to another episode of Sketch Zone Podcast. Whippy!
Woohoo! Whippy!
Wow.
Wasn't it Picasso that said, good artists borrow, great artists steal?
That's right, that's right.
I stole that line from the one and only. I'm so excited to have him here, Steven Silver. Hi.
Hello.
Welcome. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
taking time to come talk to us so we can geek out a little bit.
Sure, have some conversation, see what comes up.
So we're going to get to Steven and talk about all of his wonderful work because everyone has heard of some of the things that he's done. But before we get to that, let's welcome back Charlie B. Williams III.
What's up, Sketch Zone Nation? I'm here. I'm happy to be here. I have one of my favorite shirts on. My beard. Let's go.
Nothing to do with anything at all, but okay.
Haters gonna hate people. Listen to
It's
them.
good.
Haters gonna
That's
hate.
their job. That's their job.
Nice.
Yes, Jack Kasperzak is here.
Hello.
Wow.
I don't know anything about this shirt, but I'm here.
Wait,
It's just a regular old shirt.
is that not your shirt?
It's just a regular old shirt.
I think
Broken.
everyone should be lucky that I'm actually wearing a shirt. So as we move on,
Here we go.
But you're the only
Oh,
one
hey.
not wearing a button-down shirt, so.
I know I was gonna get dressed up, but I didn't want to scare anyone.
Oh, okay.
Uh-oh, see already. Fitzmaurice says Fitzmaurice, sorry. Fitzy says, hi, Steven.
Oh.
Mr. Actually,
Hello.
Mr. Silver, how are you, my friend?
Good.
Fitzy is
Very
one of
good.
the greatest
How are
people
you?
I've ever
Oh,
met.
yeah, what's going on?
Hello to
Did you
Noah
say
Katzir.
Hey, Noah.
Good morning from Israel. There we go.
Ooh,
Nice.
Israel. Wow.
Very
Nice.
nice.
Hey, Noah. We're just hanging out here. Something fun, something new. We'll see where it all goes. It's going to be fun already, I can tell.
Love the unison yippee.
The yippee was epic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what you guys don't know is Steven and I have been practicing that for the past 2 weeks, and we nailed it.
So proud of you
Nice.
guys.
All right. So as you guys can see, the chat panel is alive. If you're watching on Twitch, you can go ahead and ask questions on the Twitch panel. But if you're trying to get a hold of us and we're not around, you can use, that's right, the Sketch Zone hotline. That's 408-SKETCH-8, 408-753-8248. International callers, please use 011-408-753-8248. And there's
Uh-oh.
someone that I know
Anyway, sorry.
from Germany who is trying to call. We'll figure that one out. But for some reason, he wasn't able to leave a voicemail, so I'll read his message later.
Okay.
So now that we have the Sketch Zone hotline done, you know what time it is?
What time
Let's
is
go
it?
to the canvas here and let's get started. I believe every day's a good day when you're painting.
Doesn't that feel good?
It always feels good.
Look at, oh man, I had it and then I accidentally quit
It's because
because I'm nervous.
it's okay.
Steven Silver's here.
Don't be nervous.
I listen to Steven Silver
Yeah,
talks
this
when I need to get creatively pumped up, and then I just start snapping pencils.
Nice. Nice.
Wait, what?
Snapping pencils.
That's a good sign.
Yo, I just had a vision with Jack laughed.
I get my little kung fu outfit out, and I'm like, hiya! So last week, everyone, we had a 3 random word exercise. The 3 random words were courageous, robot, fish. And Steven, feel free to jump in, give some.
I'm just trying to see the screen here. I lost it. Oh, there it is. Okay, cool. Now I got my screen back. Just disappeared for a second. Okay, so tell me again. It's the robot.
It's a
Oh, there we go.
courageous
Courageous robot fish. Right.
fish. Yeah.
Right.
So this is the one that I did.
Oops. Starting with yourself.
Look
Come
at
on.
that.
I was the first one to finish.
Yeah. Get some humility in.
I was the first. I was the first one.
Slow your roll.
Moving on.
Calm down, man. The big head. You can't tell me anything.
Silenticon Studio.
Okay. He looks courageous there. It's just a small guy in a big giant suit there, and just is determined.
If I had a big robot suit like that, I would be unsustainable. People would be tired of me snapping things.
Really? Like pencils?
Like pencils. Mimer, PH, as always.
I like that. He's got the courageous pose going on.
Nice.
Why is it? You guys, and Steven, you would be a wonderful person to ask about this. Why is it that every time we watch a cartoon, the on-off switch is always so easily accessible?
Right. I don't know. It's kind of
the drama, maybe.
Yeah. Hidden, right? They just want to show it in plain
sight. Like all Star Wars movies, the on-off switch is just right
there. Yeah. It's gonna make it easy.
They did it in the new one too. They're able to find it easily.
Yeah.
I didn't know where it is.
Hide it a little bit.
I used to work there.
Thank you, Mamer. We got Mr. Happy.
Right.
I like that.
That's like a courageous fish going up against a
big bully.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Look at the God rays.
Courageous. I like that.
All right, let's see. We got Dustin Pike draws. This guy.
I like that. Courageous robot fish. I like that. It got the whole sort of samurai feeling to it now.
You got the #1 ribbon.
Yeah.
#1 courage.
I like that. Concept. It's all about the concept.
So this one's going to be interesting. This one's going to be interesting because I know Tony, #1, Tony's going to be on the show soon. He's getting a web camera, so no pressure, Tony, but now there's pressure. So we're going to see another one that he did where he totally changed mood lighting, and we'll see that here in a little bit.
Okay.
Ooh.
Here's Juan Key.
Oh, look at that. Like that. There's
a little danger happening in that one.
Yeah.
Get ready
for some action there. I like that. That's cool. Like how it blurred out the character in the back, so we lost focus there. Didn't have to pay all our attention back there.
That's right.
I like that.
Good job.
Good composition. I like it. Look at that.
Emily Doodles.
Okay. Now that's a real robot fish there. That's
right. And I like the look on his face. Like he probably pooped just a little bit.
Yeah. I like the look, and I like I like all the movement that's in the fish into the water. It's leading your eye all into like that. They were, intentionally trying to get us to look right up at that fish as the first thing, and that's where everyone's eye goes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Did you see the little fish with the remote control? I didn't even see that at first.
Right. Yeah. That's the secondary, third. Yeah, that's almost like the third thing you can see.
Awesome.
I like it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good job,
like story sketch. That's great.
This is the other one from Cartoonish.
Some different lighting.
Yeah, a little more dramatic lighting.
Mm-hmm.
O'Shea illustration.
I like that. Courageous robot fish. I like it. That's you got to have the ski poles. That I see. That's a common theme. There was another one, that little ski pole thing. So we've got to make sure that we have those when we create our robot fish to take over the world.
Ski poles, check. On and off button, check. Ooh, look at that thing.
Okay. Well,
oh man,
I like it. It's an interesting concept for sure. I don't know that it necessarily represents courageous. I don't know. I mean, robotic fish. It's got a robotic arm. Maybe if it had some other attributes to make it really look like a fish, I think. But
the
it's
ears,
very cool.
The ears are working towards it. But yeah,
Right. Yeah. Maybe if there was the fin on the back, or there's almost like it's definitely like a swamp creature type of thing. Definitely lives in the water.
Yeah, it's a little like first series Star Trek villain.
Right. It's cool. It's cool. Interesting concept.
Kevin Anders.
I like that. Like that.
Nice little badge.
Guy reacting. Yeah, that's another real robot fish. I like that. It almost looks like, you know, those little cap bombs that you used to buy. You like stick the little paper caps in it, and you stuck it in, and you dropped it on the ground like those little missiles.
Oh yeah.
And they smash on the ground.
And they used to have the ones where, when I was a kid, they had ones that looked like that, but you'd fill up with water and you pump it with air. Yeah. And the water pressure would shoot the rocket into the sky.
I like it.
Let's see. We got
look at this.
Escaping
here.
Is he escaping?
Hold on here. This is now this would be a case of just clarity for me. Like I got intrigued by the initial idea. I'm seeing that something's happening, the face escape, but I think I'm just losing what's going on in the head there with the fish. That's the only trouble that I'm having.
Maybe add a little more color,
you know,
draw your eye to that fish.
Yeah, maybe if there was color or something in there to really define that. I'm just I think if you have to spend any time more than 3 seconds or 2 seconds to identify what something is in a picture, you've lost the audience. You know, it's got to be like a quick read. It's like, you know, it's like driving down on the freeway with a billboard sign. You got that little bit of time. You better capture my attention to buy that, you know, that, what do I want, which attracted me one time. I was driving down and I saw a beer. Oh, it's Killigan's Red Ale or something. I was driving on the freeway and saw a billboard for that and said, I'm going to go pick up some beer right now.
Yeah.
But that's we just need like that quick attraction. Yeah, it's a little hard to read.
You're on the right track. I think it's because of the limited colors. We do get your eye lost in this black spot.
Yeah. It's all my attention's going there. Like now I'm looking at it more and I'm seeing that it looks like it's I like the water bowl aspect. You know, it's like a water bowl that it's breaking free from. But
I think we've also got like some action lines that are competing. We've got some shooting out and some kind of coming in. I don't know which direction it's going.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's gonna be cool if we colored it. I think it'd be cool if we
masked and see what it looks like.
I want the fish.
Yeah, color it. Yeah, try it. Maybe. Again, I'm not sure what was going on with the fish, but all right. So courageous robot chicken. Well, hey. I like that.
This one is courageous good.
Robot fish going up against the
robot fish is not having it.
Right.
That's funny.
I ain't scared.
I like that. I like that shark. It just how loose it is. It's cool.
The little scribble lines, kind of.
Yeah.
It gives it a good shape.
His style is very loose like that. Very cool. Talked about his work before.
Right. Yeah.
It's like perfect for storyboarding. So. Oh wow! Okay, interesting.
Ooh, I like this. It's like a submarine.
I had to look at it for a second. Okay, I see it now.
Yeah.
For that hook. All that dude is gonna find. All that dude is gonna find is these saw blade teeth.
Look how little they are. Look on the top half of his mouth too. It's like, oh,
that's cool. Yeah, interesting little concept.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? Just reminds you, just when I'm looking at some of these things, I think there's a lot of times the misconception a lot of artists have is that they have to over-render things or over-color things and overdo everything, as opposed to what anyone ever wants to see, especially in the studios and everything. They want to see concepts. They want to see an idea. Like, is there an interesting idea there? And then, okay, cool, we can take that. It doesn't need to be rendered for 10 hours, you know, or just it's just that quick little sketch. So you get it. Okay, that's a cool concept. What's the next one? You know, now show me 20 more fish. Show me 20 more robot fish.
There we go.
Johnny Calta.
Nice. Okay, that's cool. It's a courageous robot fish taking on all these other fish.
All right.
I like that.
Swiss Army fish.
Yeah, yeah. Very cool.
All right, let's take a look. Oh, Maestro, please. This is Shiloh.
Nice.
Clever.
Very.
Shiloh is who I want to be when I grow up.
Look at the eyes.
Yeah, I like the. Yeah, there's a lot of nice movement and life in that image because it's not so. Even though it's a robot, you don't have to. The artist didn't make it so just stiff, and where that would be something someone would do, but they've given it personality by adding angles to the head and everything through there, and it gives it. There's a lot of fun stuff there.
Yeah. Good job, Shiloh. Dave
I love Dave's Asties on this one. This is cool.
Yeah, that's cool. I think this is like as a sticker. That'd be great, like sticker and
yeah.
It's like a little metal slug-ish, like
yeah.
And this is a lot like what Steven was talking about earlier. You don't have to over render it; just get to the point.
Get to the point. Yeah.
For Dave, it's like it's almost black and white a little bit.
I know. Yeah, he
color really this week.
He usually colors his stuff really well.
It's a lot more. I wonder if he had to get it in. It's like sketchy style too. I like it.
Yeah. Again, it's just quick and loose.
Guys.
Yeah, it works great. Nice. All right.
Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and share my other screen because now we have to come up with a new prompt.
New.
Go.
Hey,
so this is what we're going to do.
All
What's
right.
this?
This is what we're going to
do. Hey, what is that thing? That looks familiar.
This guy, I know. We've been friends for a long time. He just doesn't know how long we've been friends. He came up with this app. And so we're going to use it this week to come up with the Sketch Zone Fun prompt. So one of the random things, not only is it going to be random on the app, but we're going to see how many random things we're going to come up with. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're going to do. How about this? How about Steven? Pick a number between 1 and 5.
2.
All right. So we're going to do. I'm going to turn this one off. We're going to need character. How about outfit?
Sure. Okay, character.
I like that. We need some music here.
Yeah.
Drawing.
Oh, a demon belly dancer.
Yo,
wow. Yeah, you can't get any better than that. That's
a demon belly dancer on the prowl.
Wow, yeah, on the prowl. Wow, perfect. That's what this was made for, just to unlock it. I mean, these are like, now you can make an animated show out of this. You all of a sudden, hey, do you have any good show ideas? Yeah, I got a demon belly dancer. That sounds like a great idea. Let's make a show. SpongeBob's cousin. I like it. Nice.
Awesome. So that's what we're going to do, everyone. Demon belly dancer on the prowl.
Let's go up to the canvas here and let's get started. I believe every day's a good day when you paint.
Maybe I should be doing my belly dance moves there. I'm sorry. Yo, I can't wait to see these next week.
It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, fat belly demon, the little belly button jewel.
So now what's interesting is, the majority of us are 2D animation fans.
The majority of us.
Yeah, I'm not going to say all of us, but I don't want to speak for everyone. But did you guys happen to see that Love Letter to Basketball just won a Grammy, an Emmy?
Well, no, an Academy Award.
Can we Can we talk about that for a second?
Oh yes, please.
Yo, I'm so tired of hearing about how Kobe won an Oscar. Like,
really?
Yeah, the media or general people have let off because a lot of people don't know. People don't know there aren't artists about animators and stuff like that. But we know who actually won the Oscar. I feel like it was all the animators and Glenn Coates won it, right? But I kept hearing like articles and lead-offs about how Kobe won an Oscar and all the political stuff that's happening in Hollywood and stuff like that. But I was like, I'm sure, I don't know how it worked. I'm sure he commissioned the whole thing or whatever. But, I don't really think it provided voiceover. But other than that, I thought it was just kind of annoying. I've listened to a bunch of other podcasts, and that's kind of how they let off. Kobe got an Oscar this weekend. I was like, well, I guess he did. Did they give it to Kobe or did they give it to?
No, he got one.
Yeah, so because he was there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so was Glenn there?
Kobe's production house.
Kobe wrote it, and then he exec produced it.
He wrote what?
He wrote
he wrote his love letter to basketball.
He wrote the script.
It was a script and a poem, basically.
A poem, okay.
Yeah, he wrote it, but remember this one for best animated short.
Yeah.
Animated short. And when I saw them go up on stage, when they got the thing and Kobe didn't even just make any sort of acknowledgement, and people said, yeah, but it said it in other places. It's like,
no, you gotta do it right then and there. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the press, then I saw behind the press junket behind the scenes, and then it was just him and Glenn standing there, and the press was asking Kobe all these questions about Kobe, and then they were asking about John Williams. So what was it like to work with John Williams and do the music? And no one, and he never still mentioned, I wouldn't be here if it weren't for the great animation and the team. And hey, Glenn, do you want to say something?
He never said anything?
Nothing. Just Glenn
how I
stood
felt.
there.
Yeah.
It was almost like I could draw a cartoon of it. It was kind of like, I don't know how different people perceived it, but I was just looking at Glenn's body language and looking at it compared to Kobe. And there was kind of just like, hey, Kobe, you're going to maybe just throw the basketball over my way, right? You're going to maybe do that, And
I want you guys to take a look at how Steven was looking straight up in the air, because that's basically how it is when you talk to Kobe. You're like,
yeah. That's what he was doing. And it was, I didn't like that. I thought that was.
I felt that way too. And then all the podcasts afterwards, I missed that section, but I knew he had won. So I got annoyed at all the different podcasts I listened to, or some of the other different recaps of the Oscars and stuff like that, and how they try to totally turn it into about all the Me Too stuff and all that stuff, which is a big part of it that weekend also. But like, no one mentioned Glen's name. Like,
no, that wasn't. So weird. No one mention of
at all,
and people don't realize who's there. It's like that's the ignorance of them, and they don't really. This was your childhood. What Glenn Keane, what he animated on was most of those reporters. He was their childhood, and their kids reporters. It's like none of them know, and that's a lot of times in the movies they put all the focus on the voice actors, being voiced by Brad Pitt. Woohoo, Brad Pitt! I'm gonna go see the movie now. Woohoo!
Yeah, it's like
to listen to Brad Pitt.
I just thought I would hear at least from him a lot more. Like, I can see if it was both of them. Or did he get to go up there or no?
Yeah,
he went up there.
Yeah.
He didn't say anything though. He didn't say.
He did. He said something really brief, and then he thanked his wife and kids in Spanish, and that was it.
And he thanked Kobe,
right.
but Kobe never thanked him.
It's like I paid for this.
Good times.
How dare you. Yet
again,
the artists get the short end of the stick.
Yeah. I missed that part. That's kind of one of the parts I wanted to see if they win, because how on Oscar night I come back and forth. I don't really sit for the whole thing. I come in back, miss that one, and I was like, it's one of the ones I was trying to catch, and didn't get back to the TV in time. So, but I'm glad he won. Great job. I always want to know, like, I want to see like a behind the scenes of that one. because I want to know how much he
Yeah.
animates. And I know from watching it, there's other animators that worked with it, but how they seamlessly kind of blended everything together, where everything looks like it was done by the same person or whatever. I don't know how that works when it comes to the 2D animation like that, but I love that. I could definitely tell Glenn style, but like I know there's a lot of other animators that worked on the show. So like, how do you blend all that stuff? How much is he animating? How much is other people just doing fill-ins? How does that work? So.
Well, I think it's just refreshing too, because it's 2D where most things are going 3D now, and just to be able to see that, you know, and just again just shows the importance of just drawing, you know.
Right. Have you ever had any interest, Steve, in getting into 3D at all?
No, I mean, I've always been involved in 3D as in regards to doing design for 3D, but I've never, and I have thought in my mind, oh, but God, it'd be great just to learn ZBrush so I could build a lot of the models when I'm trying to explain it to people sometimes, that it can be done, or this is how it would look. But, you know, this is where for me, just the focus gets sidetracked, and they go, okay, I'll put that up. But you know, I go back to just drawing and sticking with what I know, and like, can't teach an old dog new tricks. But you know, I know you can, but I'm just like,
But when you're killing it drawing, you know, it's almost like you have to pick your focus and stick with it.
Sure. Yeah. No, I mean, I think at least for a while, I think sometimes you eventually just become complacent. You know, you get, you're happy with, you know, what it is you're doing. You're content with that. I think as long as you're doing multiple things within the same medium, like say my genre is painting and I love doing oil painting. Well, maybe I'll paint stuff for galleries, but maybe I'll do oil painting for children's books, and I'll illustrate a children's book, and I'm still painting. I'm still sticking with that same sort of thing. And I think that's what I do with the drawing. It's like I just do a lot of different drawing of different things all the time. So that's what keeps me occupied, and I don't feel like I need to jump into something, you know, else. But I think when you're in the beginning trying to figure it all out, I think you got to try everything, because I did when I was trying to figure it all out. I was trying oil painting, no. Acrylic painting, no. Animating, no. Storyboarding, no. And I was kind of going through all these things until I settled on the character design, which was really just caricature. I was always drawing people's faces. So caricature and character design are really just one and the same, you know. So it's just an extension.
So let's go all the way back to when you first started drawing. How old were you? How early can you remember wanting to be an artist?
Yeah, probably around 6 years old. And then when I was 13 years old, and then I was always watching cartoons. I was born, you know, grew up in England, and we had just 3 channels, BBC One, BBC Two, and something else, and watching a lot of Hanna-Barbera, you know, Scooby-Doo, Hong Kong Phooey, all those, you know, those classics, and Tom and Jerry, and just watching all that. And then when I was 13, I discovered Norman Rockwell. And then I was like, whoa, and that took me on this path. And then when I was in 11th grade in high school, or 10th grade, I discovered Mad Magazine. And that's when it's like, whoa, you know, what is this? You know, you can make, you know, I always saw the comics, the cartoon strips. I thought I wanted to do cartoon strips, you know, because that's I want to do cartoons. Okay, what can you do as a cartoonist? Oh, look, Sundays on Sundays, and they can do Sunday comic strip. Okay, that sounds like a good idea. So that's what I thought I wanted to do, was get into that. And then you see, oh, there's political cartoons. Well, that's interesting. And then you start to see, I think if you keep your eyes open, you start to see where cartoons are used. And then all of a sudden you see book covers, and then you see games, board games, and those have a cartoon, and cereal boxes, those have cartoons on them. Holy shit, there's cartoons everywhere. I could be a cartoonist and make a living at this, you know. That's almost like what it becomes, you know, in a weird way. You realize that it can be done, and now it's just then you're in the whole figuring it out phase. You know, and that's when I think you got to experiment. Coming back to the initial question as far as tap tapping into other mediums or CG. I think that, you know, you could do that. And then you get to a certain age where, I don't know, I know a lot of people who like, I'm going to switch it up and do something completely different. But I think you make that change when you're ready, you know, don't do it because you have to, do it because you want to, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
How supportive were your parents when you told them that they wanted, or that you wanted to be an artist?
I mean, they always encouraged me from just a young age. They were always, you know, like most parents, they'll be, oh, so proud, and they hang up your drawing, show it to cousin Bobby and this and that, and, you know, look what Steven drew, and maybe someday he'll be an architect and all that. Again, they didn't know. They had no understanding. I actually, I remember I took one of those tests by the, you know, draw this turtle.
From the commercial? I did those too.
Yeah. So I did it. I drew the turtle or whatever, the guy in the turtle, and I turned that in, and I got a phone call back from the Art Institute saying, your son shows talent. We're going to have someone in the area, come and visit. So someone actually came to my house. And I sat at the table with this guy, and he was trying to convince my parents to get me to go to this art school. And my parents knew nothing about it.
How old were you when this was happening?
It must have been, well, I was in high school. So it was around, I was a senior in high school. So I was looking at that. My parents looked at the price and said, no fucking way, you know, so, you know, just, you know, forget it.
We're grown-ups.
You know, you got to think of something, you know, I don't know. But again, they didn't know, but they always supported it. They would do things like that, like let this person and try, let's just hear it. Let's hear what they got to say. And then once I just started doing caricatures after high school. And then I got a job, and my parents were like, oh, okay. And then I told them I wanted to drop out of school, and that's when they were just like, whoa, you can't just drop out of school. How you gonna make it? All this other stuff. So, but you know, I've said it in some, you know, on my art talk and things. But what I've said is that what they did for me was the best thing they could have done. They kicked me out of the house, but in a loving way. They knew that I was on their car insurance and their health insurance program, you know, so they were for their kids. So they knew that if they did kick me out of the house and I had to pay all my own bills, is what they told me, they knew I probably wouldn't pay my medical bill and I wouldn't pay my car insurance. Like, I'm not going to pay those. What do I need those? So they said, we'll just keep you on car insurance and health insurance, but everything else you're on your own. You got to move out. You got to pay for your own, you know, rent, your own food, your own gas, your own, you know, all that sort of stuff. And if you think you can make it, and it was really the best thing. But again, the door was always open if I needed to go back, but that was never my intention, and I never did.
Mm-hmm.
That's motivating. Not having to move back in with your parents.
Yeah.
I will draw till my fingers fall off.
Right. I think it's harder now, though, and it's kind of, you know, I think it's hard for young artists now, like 18, 19-year-olds, because things are a lot more expensive, or, you know, kids aren't there, you know, they're home till like they're 22 now. They're not just out when they're 18 or 23, 24. And it's different, you know. So it's a different world.
What was your first gig as an artist?
It was doing caricatures when I was 18 at SeaWorld in San Diego. So that's where the School of Hard Knocks right there. That's where I got all my experience. That's where I was just out there every single day, all during the summer. I was working 12 hours a day sometimes during the summer. Wow. And you got to draw a caricature like every 5 to 10 minutes. So I was drawing caricatures all day long, nonstop, with lines of people, you know, because there were a bunch of us. But then you get people who would be like, that looks nothing like him. I had people rip up my drawings in front of my face. I had people complain to the park managers that I insulted them. I had, you know, you get all these different things sort of like popping up. But that, again, was a great training ground. And what that gave me, and why I recommend it to artists along their journey, is like, it's a great thing to build up your artist rhino skin. You know, it's like where you just become sort of toughened and hardened to when you're dealing with all these clients and all these directors who are going to tell you your artwork isn't right, it's not working. I don't have to be so sensitive towards you and tell you, oh, you it's okay. Just maybe fix this and go back. It'll be better next time. It's like, hey, this sucks. You need to go back and rethink this, and
right.
some cojones, So right. I think directors that I worked with, I think being able just to have that ability is what that training gave me, and plus it built my speed up. And then from there is when I went into animation back in like '97. Oh, that was like for a Super Bowl commercial, the chatter with will.i.am. That was not last year, but the year before that, they did a whole Super Bowl commercial. But that business never made it.
Did you get to meet will.i.am?
No. I was just working with creative directors and everything on it. Yeah.
Okay. I want to take a moment to just point out all of the life and all of the movement that's happening in all of your drawings.
Oh, thank you.
We touched on this a little bit earlier when we were doing the fun prompt showcase, where you were explaining how something, even that robot that Shiloh drew, had life. And this is, I think this is a really good example of something like a donkey and an elephant that, generally speaking, if you look at an elephant in the wild, it's just a big blob of gray standing there.
Yeah.
Where here we have a lot of personality. There's aggressiveness. They're in an argument.
Yeah, it's so much about just observation. It's like you have to draw because you want to and not because you need to. And I think that's where I think artists, I hear it over and over again. Yeah, I got to draw more. I need to draw more. I need to draw more. It's like, yeah, you do need to draw more. That's what you need to do, but you got to do it because you want to. Yeah. And you do it because that's what you want to do. And I think that's the vital thing. And you're drawing and getting excited when you just see people. All of a sudden you just see someone. Like I was drawing at Costco today. I was there at lunchtime with a couple of friends, and we were just drawing. And it's like, even when we're not drawing, it's like spotting someone. Go, man, look at that guy! Oh my God, look at that guy! And it's just like it's like a zoo and it's a circus. And I loved this last weekend. I was at Emerald City Comic Con, and I was sitting behind my table. And I was very fortunate to be sitting with, I'm not sure if you know of the artist Claire Wendeling, just a phenomenal artist, and just sitting next to her for 3 days and just being able to just have the conversation, and we're just sitting there and we're staring at people walking by, and we're just like, wow, look at this. This is like a parade for us. This is just a zoo of humans. Just these humans, they were just like all like walking through like animals and looking at table to table. And, wow, look at that guy. Oh my God, look at that guy. And it was like, I got so many great drawings this past weekend. Again, just observing people, and just that's what I think is always going to help you bring the life into any drawing, because it's the experience, so it's not the technical. People think that if I'm technically savvy and I get all the technical stuff down, well, then I can do it. Well, no, that's just one element of the ingredient. You got to add these other elements of life, a little sprinkle of life and a little sprinkle of design, and you're making this big old nice art, pie, is what you're trying to do and create. But again, it's just really just looking and seeing how, knowing that if I'm looking at a guy who's really heavy set, well, in his face, well, usually the rest of the body follows being heavy set. If someone's very skinny and tall, well, maybe their face will be very skinny too. And so it's just kind of putting all these pieces together, but from observation. Yeah.
Real quick, Dave Atsey from Australia. He says, Stephen is so inspiring and brings such a positive energy to everything.
Well, thank you. It's better than being angry and not positive, I guess. It's more fun. Let's just put it that way.
So let's go back to 1997.
Yeah, 1997.
So you went from SeaWorld, and you sharpened up your drawing skills and your caricature skills, and what was your next step?
So from there, my next step was just I would always go to, there was a meeting that happened in National Cartoonist Society. So every month in San Diego where I was living, they had cartoonists that would all gather and they'd have a guest speaker. And one of those years, there was this one of those months, there was this guest speaker who was a storyboard artist on Freakazoid. And he was there and I met him and I showed him my stuff. And he said, hey, you know, you got some promising stuff there. Keep it up and keep in touch. And it took me about a year. It was about a year later that I got back in touch with him and said, hey, can I show you some of my stuff? And I had no idea about animation, character design, any of the jobs. I never went to school. I didn't know. I was just always just drawing caricatures, so I knew nothing about the animation industry, really, how it worked. And when I met with him and he showed me what he was doing, said, you know, I think they're looking for a character designer on this show called Hysteria on the 13th floor, whatever, I don't think there's 13 floors, but whatever floor it was. And we went up there and the director wasn't there, and he just introduced me to the production coordinator and said, hey, I just want to dropping off this young man's portfolio. They said, okay, the director's not here. He'll check it out when he comes back. And the director came back, he looked at it, and then they called me up and wanted me to come back and pick up a test. So then I picked up a test where I had to design 3 characters, historical characters in the show of Hysteria, because it was already designed. And then from there, I submitted that. And then they gave me a call and said, hey, we'd like to bring you on and hire you full time. You got to move up to LA. And I moved up to LA, and that's how I got my start in the animation. So complete sidetrack of where I thought I was going in my career.
Nice.
Yeah.
Was it exciting for you to move into animation?
Oh yeah, extremely. Yeah, real exciting. It was just so new and so different. And I was just I was just young, and I was around 23 years old. And I was just awesome. It was just like, wow, this is going to be a cool new experience. I have no idea what this is, and it's going to be interesting. Let's figure it out. Let's see what happens. And it just, worked out, real well. And again, always just drawing. I was always studying, taking life drawing. I started taking life drawing. I was studying all the time and just always working on my portfolio, just always drawing at lunchtime. Hey, you want to go sketch at lunchtime? Sketch at lunchtime? Are you crazy, dude? I'm getting my lunch. This is my lunch break. I'm like, well, okay, well, you can sketch and eat too, Get out of here.
Let's go to Costco.
So that's what I was doing.
So what was more exciting, actually breaking into the animation industry or having a regular paycheck?
You say it's funny that because when they asked me, actually, when I got the call to work on go to Warner Brothers, I was on the phone with them. They said, you got to move to LA. This is when we want you to start, blah, blah. Okay. And I said, okay, thank you. Bye. And then, whoa. Don't you want to ask how much you're going to make? So for me, it was never, I didn't even ask. It didn't matter. I was just like, hey, this is going to be cool. And plus I came from doing caricatures, and I was working back in the day. Caricatures in the theme parks there was a lot more activity. I don't know that people do it so much all these days. Now it still exists, but I think it was a different time. And at 18 years old, I could be making $800 to $1,000 a week just doing caricatures, making fun of people when I was 18. And that was constant, and I was working all year round doing that. And I moved to different states, and I went to fairs, and I went and drew. If you guys remember Barney, I went to a Barney. That's when Barney was popular. I went to a Barney convention where all these kids, and I was drawing characters of all the kids with Barney. But, after the 2 days that I was there, you're exhausted because you are literally drawing nonstop the whole time. But you walk out there, you're like 19 years old, and you got like wads of cash, and you're like, woohoo. And then when I was 21, I would go to the bars and sketch, and all these drunk people. I'd be walking out of a bar every night with like $300-400 in my pocket. Again, just making fun of people. And then when I was at Christmas time, I set up drawing caricatures at the shopping mall for November and December. And I would make, in 2 months, I'd make like $15,000 for just drawing for 2 months of making fun of people. So I was in this frame of mind where money was like, I understood it, but I was always investing back in myself. Every time I would make money, I would put it back into myself to where I'm going to buy a bigger booth for next year. I'm going to buy better equipment. I'm going to buy this. And always and it was something my uncle taught me. He said, just invest in yourself. He owned a clothing company back in Dublin. And he always said the most important thing you can ever do is invest in yourself. Don't worry so much investing in all these other companies and stuff. Invest in yourself. And that always stuck with me. It's like, yeah, because now I got a bigger, better booth and now I can attract more people. I can print flyers. I always had money. Oh, I need to make a brochure. I was printing brochures. I took out ads in the yellow pages. I was doing all these things, and I was going at Christmas time, and I was painting people's windows at Christmas time, Santas and things. So I was always determined to work and knew that I can't rely on other people because no one was offering me jobs. So no one was giving me jobs. I didn't understand the concept of really portfolio to submission to hopefully get hired, cross my fingers. I just always thought I got to do this on my own. And that was, I think, where I kind of was my belief. I gotta just do this on my own. And I was always self-creating. I'd go to the shopping malls and meet with the people and set up my own booth. And I was always doing everything independently. And that way it was an easy transition for me from when I started working in animation, just to transition and do still today independent stuff, because that's how I was. That's how I was.
That's awesome.
Sorry, I'm lost in the art.
Focus, Carlos.
That was a bunch of Sony. And then I was over. So after I was at Warner Brothers, and then I got hired over to do Clerks at Disney. Television animation, and a lot of this is through connections. Like most people will ever tell you how they got their jobs, and it's through the people that they've met, the friends they make, the connections. That's how people find work, and that's what happened. Someone said, hey, they're looking for an artist here. Okay, submit my portfolio there. That got me in the door at Disney. And then I was gonna, but before that happened, I was about to join. Then I was like, got a little confused, because I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, and I had been working there, and then I thought I wanted to join the Peace Corps. So I had applied for Disney, and it was going to determine if I got the job at Disney on Clerks, then I would stay there. But if I didn't, then I was going to join the Peace Corps. And I ended up getting hired at Disney, and then that sort of like sidetracked that. And more than anything, it was just the experience. I wanted to learn a new language at that time. I thought, how great would this be? I had the travel bug in me. I'd been traveling a lot, and I just wanted to go and see what the experience would be, And then from there, what was that? Then I think Nickelodeon, then Sony feature, back to Nickelodeon. And then I've been working at home now for like the last 11 years.
Nice. So when you first came into the industry, it was paper and pencil?
Yeah, just paper and pencil. Yeah, no Cintiqs, no cell phones, no nothing. Just it's crazy, right? We think like, whoa, did that time really exist? Yep, it was here.
Tell me about if there was ever any time in your career when maybe one of your superiors came over and was like, Steven, this is trash. Throw it all away and start from scratch.
Well, that actually happened on Clerks, that my director told me about, that they wanted to get rid of me. They didn't think that I was doing the style what they wanted, but it ended up being the style, and everything all worked out. But at the time, they didn't think that I was the right guy for the job. Oh, really? And my director was just, he would have talks with me and just say, he never really told me that. All he really did was encourage me just to, I think, maybe work a little harder. And so I think I was getting maybe the signals, or I think I was feeling it. And so I was working even harder, and I was drawing even more, and I was producing even more, because I was just like, I got to do this. And it was actually, and I knew I had to do it, because one of my dreams at the time was to work at Disney feature animation. And at that same time, when I got hired on Clerks, I got hired to go to DreamWorks, Disney feature to work on a project, and I met with them. But I had to make the decision: did I want to go over to Disney feature, which was my dream at that time, or do I stick with Clerks, working on there, going through this hardship, you know? But I knew that they were relying on me because they had gone through a bunch of different artists, and I knew that they were. And my director, I didn't want to let him down. So at that moment, that's when I decided, you know, I'm just gonna stick with Clerks. And luckily I did, because the show that I would have gone on to feature got canceled like 3 months later. The project got killed. So it was like a blessing in disguise. Yeah, but no, directors, most of the time, you know, they'll just, there's none that have been, that I can recall that were so harsh, or maybe they were, but it never bothered me, you know, just because of my experience in the theme park, where no director ever ripped up a drawing or threw it away, like I got from people that sat in front of me or got up, I showed them the picture and they walked away without paying, you know, so there was, that's why I dealt, that was my hard knocks over there. Yeah.
Jeepers.
And how did you get through that rough spot? Like, what was the main thing that was going on? Did you just have to keep drawing until you started seeing the task differently? How do you work your way out of that?
No, absolutely. I think that was it. I knew I had to get better. And that was the bottom line. It's like I knew what my weakness was, and I knew what my weakness was through comparison, where I was comparing myself at that time to Mort Drucker and Jack Davis from Mad Magazine, and San Viviano, and I was looking at their work, and I'm just like, man, I gotta get to this caliper, and I think if I could get to that caliper, this won't happen, and I just knew. You almost like laughed it off. In all honesty, it almost became funny. You know, and I think, you know, the support of the other artists, because they went through the same thing, and you'd kind of have each other to just sort of like laugh it off and just be like, oh man, that sucked, you know, but it wasn't, you know, and I think you knew and you wanted a job, you know, I wasn't going to quit, you know, and I think it was just part of being a professional. It's like, I'm not going to quit. I'm not just going to walk away. This is a fun job. I get to sit outdoors at SeaWorld in San Diego, and under the beautiful sun and the weather. I get to cruise around this park whenever I want. I get to sit, make fun of people, and get paid. You know, this is pretty cool. You know?
Right, for sure.
So that's why you put all those into thing. You know, I think the only thing now is you deal with frustration with directors, where you're working on something, and if the director if they're indecisive, that's hard when you work with directors that aren't, anyone, art director, and if they're indecisive and they're changing their mind every 2 seconds, or they're not sure what they want in the first place, that's when it just gets difficult to try to read into their mind. I don't know what you freaking want, you know? It's just like, what do you want? You're driving me crazy.
How much fun do you have when someone tells you, I don't know what I'm looking for, but I'll know it when I see it?
Yeah, right. Yeah. No, those are tough. And that's why I try to break it down even further. Well, for me as a character designer, I'm like, well, is it more, is there a show, some shows right now? Are we talking real squatch and stretch like Ren and Stimpy? Or are we talking just not so much and more, you know, it's like, what are we really looking for? So I try to at least break that down. Because otherwise it is extremely frustrating, through that process. But again, part of being a professional and in the industry and working, this is what you deal with, you know, and it's okay, you know, it's okay. If it's not your project, it's not your project, you know, it's someone else's.
Exactly.
Sure.
And at the end of the day, no matter what it is that you're working on, whether it's, you know, 3D, 2D, multimedia, music, it doesn't matter. If someone is paying you to do this, as long as the checks don't bounce.
That's right. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Keeping on.
I think the sooner you realize that you're, you know, a commercial artist, you know, this is your job. This is the life you've chosen to be work for hire. You're a commercial artist. You're working, you're an illustrator, you're doing this for other people. You got to be that team player, again, and just know that I'm going to work on lots of different jobs. I got to make the client happy. I want to get paid. My thing is, I want to be able to, when I'm 99 years old, be sitting on a rocking chair and looking back and talking to my great grandchild and say, you know, I made, you know, great-great-grandpa, he was an artist his whole life. That's how did you make your living? I made a life by being an artist. No matter what it is, no matter what happens, that was my life. That's what my life became, was I got to be an artist. I got to do this. I didn't have to be a corporate, wear a suit and tie and deal with all that. And, you know, and that's to me, I think, the pinnacle, and that's all I care about at the end. I think that's why I take so many risks and I try so many things and I explore so many different ideas, because this is what I want to do. And I know that, you know, everything, there's going to be a lot of trial and error, you know.
And that's one of the first things that I notice when I go through your portfolio is you have such a wide range of style. How important is that for a professional artist?
Vital, absolutely vital in this industry. Again, if you want to work in this industry, whether you want to do commercials, video games, you know, animated movies, animated TV, apps, games, whatever it is, the more versatile you are, the more opportunities you'll get, you know, because all of a sudden we're drawing really realistic on this for this network, but over here we're drawing very wacky. Can you do that? But if you're just a one-trick pony and you're only doing one thing, well, you sort of limit your options, right? I think you can say that about any profession or anything in life. You could say that you don't just kind of want to just put all your eggs in one basket, so to speak. So the more versatile you are, the more opportunities you'll have. But there's that other place where if you just have the one style, but your goal is you be an illustrator and do magazines and book covers and all these different things. Well, the art directors oftentimes are looking for someone who has that one style. You know, this is what you do. We need to hire you because we love what you do. And if you're switching it up all the time, you're going to piss a lot of people off. They're going to go, dude, we hired you because we love your style. Why are you switching it up? And that happened to me before I got into animation. My style, I was doing stuff for magazine illustration, and it was, I think it was, I was submitting it to Rolling Stone and Time Magazine and all this. And I actually got not an email, a letter back from Rolling Stone, because I had sent them a bunch of musician caricatures. They said, we want to see some more. And I sent them some more, and it was a completely different style. And they're like, yeah, you're not going to work out, pal. And then another art director hired me, and they got so pissed because I turned in something that was just a different style. And I realized, yeesh, I got to find a style. But then I realized once I got into animation, I don't want to just have a style, one style, you know.
I mean, if you wanted to, and this is kind of like a pep talk for some of the listeners, if you want to work on a style for a specific, whether it's a children's book or something like that, sure, you want a consistent style for that one project.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But
yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, because I was going to ask how you reconcile this, because it's really common. I mean, I think even right now there's a phase in animation and illustration that people are focused on a style, and they are looking for a specific style, and art directors get hired because they have this look that's popular right now. And I mean, like you said, I mean, that's great, and that gets you that gig, but how do you reconcile that with the long term? Like you said, you change it up, but what about these folks that live off of this, you know, this look? Like, how do those two?
Well, I think you just got to decide that that's almost like what you wanted, that you're going to stick with that format and sort of do that. Like, I know a guy, I'm not sure if he's a great painter. I don't know if you've ever seen, his name's John Asaro. And he created this, what's called the Asaro head, and it shows all these planes of the head, and you've seen the art students using it all the time. But he was a painter out in La Jolla, and he was doing this one style, this one way of painting, and the galleries were buying it up. And this guy's selling tons of his artwork. People love it, but he became so sick of it. He wanted to experiment and do different stuff, and then none of the galleries wanted his stuff. And nope, it's not that stuff. So he had to deal, damn it, I got to just do that same old crap that I'm doing. He was just done. He'd been doing it for the last 30 years, 40 years. I think you got to decide what area you want to go into, but also you can do both. You know, maybe you got a whole portfolio website that's driven towards this one style that you love to do, but you're so versatile as well that you can have this whole animation portfolio, you know, as well. I think don't put restrictions, but I think if you want that consistent work, you're just going to have to keep switching things up. You know, again, like look at every TV show, look at every commercial. It's like, especially in television animation, there's different styles all the time. There's different leads. You better be able to go from that look to that look, you know, especially if you're an art director.
Right.
Sure, you know.
So there's a couple things that it's happening in the chat room right now. June Anthony Reyes says, I bought Silver Way. It's more like a gold way for me. LMAO. And then Noah Katzir says, what would be your advice to artists who do various things / styles, but still need to show consistency of who they are for a client?
Well, this is what, where it almost like taps back into what we're saying, where if you feel that if that client specifically looking for that, well, that's when you got to gather all the stuff that's similar. Like I've had a client one time, they said, you know, we'd love to hire you, but we want to see more of your animals. So I dug through my trenches of files and just grabbed a bunch of animal sketches that felt would represent that sort of style that I knew they were looking for, more like a preschool type of style. And I was just grabbing stuff like that. So I think the reality is just know the client, you know, and if that's what they're looking for, well, then make sure you're prepared. And I think you're prepared with that if you're drawing all the time or painting all the time. If you're doing this consistently, you're going to have so much artwork that you're going to be able to eventually pull from that and not all of a sudden have to go, oh my God, I got to create 5 pieces of new artwork to show that. And that's why the importance of just drawing all the time. And, you know, I think there's just a strange thing with the portfolio, unfortunately, and it happens a lot in the animation industry, is you're being judged on your portfolio to get a test, you know, to get in the studio and get a job. But sometimes people, they need all this other artwork, sometimes overboard, where it's like, you know, I got so much work in my portfolio. I'm already showing you what I can do. And I think sometimes it's just the client has to have that faith and trust, and just, this is where the point of a portfolio. If I'm looking for, you know, robot sketches or robot fish, I want to look at, you know, a portfolio that may represent someone who's got all these robots and animal life and stuff, and go, hey, we can merge those two together. So, and not have to make an artist, hey, we need to see full turnaround and expressions and 10 other drawings that you do before we can hire you. You know, I don't know, but that's the way it is because people accept it. You know, that's what it is. That's what it is. Yeah.
I wanted to, while we're talking about drawing every day and getting better and faster, and while maintaining flexibility, I wanted to touch on your advice. It would be we talked about it a little bit earlier, where people spend so much time rendering.
Right.
Can you talk about just staying loose and having scribbles in your sketchbook?
Yeah, you know, I think it's just the intention when you're going into your artwork and you're about to draw is just, I've had this problem with a lot of students where they are spending so much time on one drawing. I said, for the amount of 20 minutes you spent on that one drawing, you should have at least done about 6, 7 other drawings within that time. And you need to do that for yourself and tell yourself you're going to do that. So you got to almost set those times for yourself and just know that I'm just going to draw loose. And again, it's almost just with intention that you're saying you're going to do this, so you don't get lost in your, you know, your artwork. Otherwise, there's sometimes you get these different prompts. There's some great websites out there which have like nude drawing things where it's a gesture class, but like every 2 seconds it switches, or 5 seconds. It's like, you get thrown, you know, into that, you know, and just forcing yourself to just, you got to do it intentionally. I got to speed myself up, and you got to know that for yourself. But it's so important. It's about, I think drawing is about quantity, not quality. I think the quantity will always eventually, the quality is going to catch up to that. You know, that by you doing so much, eventually the quality is just going to be there. You don't have to worry about that. I think people go into this thinking that they got to be great and that they got to be good right now. And that if they're not good, and especially with social media, and we're seeing all this now, look what all these people are doing, and they're so good. And so, and you jump into all that. And I think if you stop comparing yourself like that and just know that as long as I'm doing all these drawings, eventually I'm going to get there. It's just a matter of timing. That's all it comes down to, is the timing, and not put that pressure, because it's not real. And that's where stops people from doing anything. They don't even, they cripple themselves. They cripple themselves because of comparison, you know, and it's like, you know, just stop.
Isn't it funny how this happens in my brain, where you go on Instagram and you can see 100 different people drawing and creating and getting it better. And for some reason in my brain, all those 100 people are the same person. And so I feel like I have to draw and I have to keep up with this one person, but it's actually 100 people.
Right. Yeah. No, that's funny. I mean, again, you're getting this quick feed, and the brain is just going, oh my God, look how good this is, and all this information you're taking in at such a rapid pace, it can drive you insane. And you know, I really do believe you gotta just put these devices down from time to time, really limit that. And I really do myself. I limit myself a lot, you know, with it, and just make sure that I'm just drawing or doing something else, activating a different side of my brain. And it comes down to, instead of watching all the other kids playing on the playground, you go play in the playground. You know, it's time for you to jump in there. Stop watching all them have a fun time. And there was a quote when I was 13 years old. I don't know where I got it, but I put it up on my closet door in my bedroom when I was 13. And it said, life is a party to which you've been invited. Are you going to sit on the sidelines or join in the dance? And that's what it is. It's just like, I think a lot of people are sitting on the sidelines, unfortunately, watching all these other people doing all this work, thinking it's impossible for them, as opposed to spending the time and effort. Just, you know, just get in there, just go, just get in there, just play in that sandbox, you know, and see what happens. And you're gonna get into some fights, and you're gonna get sand thrown in your eyes, and all this other stuff. You know, it's just like, that's part of it.
Yeah.
And then when you get home, just draw a picture of you getting punched in the nose.
That's right. Now you got a story. Yeah.
I wanted to jump on a June question here. Any advice to those freelance artists who want to be like you, given that they have the potential?
Any advice to give would be great. Yeah.
Any advice to move into move into freelance?
To move into freelance, I'd say you don't do it immediately. This is a horrible thing artists do. All of a sudden they're working at their jobs, they're feeling not fulfilled, they're unfulfilled, they've been there a while, it's the same thing every day, they got this thing, this other idea. So sometimes in their mind they think, you know what, I'm just gonna quit and go freelance and just start doing all that, and that never works out. What you got to do is you got to just plant the seed and start nurturing it. So while you're working at your everyday studio job, you need to just make sure that you're planted the seed and you know what it is you even want to do as freelance. A lot of people say, so what do you want to do as a freelance artist? They go, I don't know, I just want to draw. Well, do you want to paint covers to books? Do you want to work and paint boxes of cereals? I mean, what do you want to do? So again, the sooner you determine what that looks like, the faster it's going to happen. If you don't know what that looks like, nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. I guarantee you. So once you say, well, my freelance career would be, I want to do caricatures for magazines. Okay, that's a cool thing. You want to get into that? Well, then start getting your artwork together, the caricatures, start building your portfolio. Now start looking at clients, start putting your stuff out there, start getting feelers. And eventually your hope is that it kind of levels off, and eventually your freelance artwork overtakes your ability to work in-house all the time. And that's what happened. That was what was going on with me. You know, it's just like my other endeavors were taking over so much more of my time where the studio, when I was at Nickelodeon, was like, why are you taking off all the time? Why are you always requesting so much time off? You know,
Really?
like, oh yeah, they were getting angry. And it's just like, and I just said, and I hadn't signed a contract or anything. And I was just like, because I got other stuff I'm doing, you know, it's just like, you know, I'm freelancing, I'm working on other stuff. It's like, trust me, these studios, the minute they're done with you, are spitting you out, you know, and I love the studios, but the minute they're done with you, unless they have maybe something to put you on, I don't care how loyal, how great you've been. We've seen the best of the best kicked out on the floor. You go, what the hell, man? I spent 17 years, 20 years at this company, and you're booting me out. It happens all the time. It's just like, if there's no work, there's no work. Otherwise, it's not up. You can't control that. Maybe the new show is in town. There's a new showrunner in town, but that showrunner has their own friends, and they want to bring on their own friends. And even though you're great and you're highly skilled, you know, you're not buddies with this person. You're not in their club, you know, so that can affect things too. And that's why I think it's so important to make sure, just know what it is you want to do and just get it going, you know. And this, we live in this world today where this is, I don't care what it is you want to do, art related, non-art related. You want to start your own, you know, advertising firm. You can start your own advertising firm. It's just start to just think about what's missing and these needs and try it. And I think the biggest thing is, when you're going into this, don't worry about failures. Don't worry that you're going to hit these roadblocks. Don't worry that you're going to have people who are going to not accept you and not like what you do and all this. It's going to happen, and just, you know, just deal with it, you know. But I think it's just know what you want, and that's how you'll break into the freelance field. But don't do it. Don't quit and try to think you can be freelance. That's when you become a starving artist.
Yeah, we don't want that.
There's a simple formula to that specific question. When your freelance career starts interfering with your regular career or with your 9-to-5 job, that's when you start thinking about moving over.
Right. Yeah.
That's when your freelance career starts to actually needs your focus.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. It was interesting. There was, when I was in Seattle this past week, I was talking to this artist, and we were talking about this story, and I don't remember the whole story, and I can't remember. The only thing that I remember about the story was that every time this dog kept going and sitting on this nail, and every time it kept sitting and it was irritated, and the owner was just got to the point where it's just at some point, once that dog realizes that it's sitting on the nail and it finally hurts and he finally pays attention to what's going on, he's no longer going to sit on that nail anymore. He's just going to, you know, not just follow that same path all the time. It's just like that same phrase we've heard from Albert Einstein, you know, the insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. And so that's what happened with the dog. And eventually, once that dog stopped sitting on the nail, well, then from there, it learned its lesson. And she was talking about a situation where she wanted to go freelance, you know, and she's doing this stuff, and she saved money for a year. She's got a year that she could do this, and she's got this whole idea and this plan. But now someone has offered her work, and someone's come in, and now they want to offer her work to do something. Should she take that job, or should she do the thing that she wants to do? And this is what happens over and over again. And I just reminded her from the exact same story she just told me, where you're the dog. What are you, the dog sitting on the nail? You know, you got to, this is the whisper. This is the time you got to, don't do it. Don't just fall into that trap. You got to follow through. This was your plan. Don't take that job. You've given yourself a year, because I'm telling you, if you don't do this, a year from now, you're going to have the biggest regret in your life. You're gonna be an old woman and have regrets if you took that job and realized that you didn't even give yourself a year when that's what you planned on doing, to see if it would even work out. So that's the risk you got to take, a willingness. But I can assure you, when you do that, if you're willing to take that step and really put your, you know, although it's not, she's protected herself. She's saved money for a year. Right. That's when things change. That's when you kick into gear, that you think things are impossible, but that's when you have Superman strength, and you can lift that car up from your parents, and you just like, you know, how the hell do you lift that up? How did you get that strength to lift that car off of that and save that person? So it's like, when you're called upon, you'll show up and you'll do it. The thing is, if you're too comfortable, and you're too complacent, you're never going to do anything, and you just make excuses forever, you know, and then you'll bitch and moan for the rest of your life and go, you know, why, shoulda, coulda, woulda. That's why just do it. Just see what happens, you know.
Isn't it interesting to see people kill themselves at a 9 to 5, but then when it comes to their own personal stuff, they're like, here's 25%. Here's 30%.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Otherwise they're tired. I kind of believe in like this sort of like 80-20 rule, and it could be 70-30, but that rule is whatever company you're working for, give them your best, give them 80%, but give 20% to yourself or 30% to yourself. Not that I'm going to do a bad job. They're paying me. I'm working for them. But don't give any company that's not yours 100% unless you're getting a piece of the action and it's part of your company, right? Why would you? Why burn yourself out for someone else for so long just for them to say at the end of the day, hey, thanks, man. You made us millions of dollars, billions of dollars, and now we're kicking you out. You know, thanks for your service, like they did to all those Disney animators when the big layoff, when they do it to a lot of the animation studios with the big layoffs that happen, you know, because the stability, it's like wow, thanks, you know. That's why I put at least, if not 30%, at least put 20% into yourself, you know. But don't, whatever you do, put 0% into yourself. That's the worst thing you can do for yourself.
That's it. That sounds like if you guys want proof of what Steven just said, go watch Floyd Norman in Animated Life.
Yeah.
Go watch that.
Perfect
and it's basically exactly what Steven said. Floyd gave his all. They had to kick him out at night.
Yeah.
And then when they were done, they're like, all right, cool, thanks.
Yeah. That's it. You know, thanks for your service, you know, boom. Yeah. So that's why I think it's always important just to at least be thinking of new ideas. You know, think of just think of something. You know, it's fun. I think it's especially for anyone who's in a rut, anyone who's feeling uninspired or unmotivated or just not feeling it. I guarantee if you just at least start some of your own projects and at least really put the effort into it, so that you know I'm making strides and I can give myself a pat on the back. I made all those phone calls today. I went and met with that person today. I'm getting somewhere. Something might have happened. As long as you're doing that, that's what's going to bring the energy back. That's what's going to make it exciting. You get to be a kid again, so to speak. And I think that's what we miss out on, because that's what we do when we start out. We're hungry. We want to get in the studio, get the jobs, get the work. We want to be noticed. We want to be validated. We want people to, yes, they accepted me for my talent, and now they're going to pay me and give me a job. That's okay. Now we get that job. Now start, you know, again, then you're there and you start, well, maybe the grass is a little greener over on that side over there. Maybe there's something going on over there, you know. It doesn't last, you know. So that's why for yourself, I think you just got to keep creating some little carrot, you know, something to dangle in front of you, for sure.
So let's go back to 11 years ago. You were working at Disney, or
I was at Nickelodeon at the time.
Nickelodeon. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then you ended up going out on your own.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Self-created. This is a crazy story, but I was sitting in my office. I was in this dark little hole working on Penguins of Madagascar and the TV animated series, in this, no windows or anything, in this section almost near the closet. Are
you sure you were doing artwork for them?
What's that?
Are you sure you were doing artwork for them and not maybe a janitor or something?
Yeah, I know, right? But I was there and I was sitting and I was only allowed to design like one character per show because it was a CG show. So and they were cutting down the budget. So one character design, and I was doing the turns and all this stuff. And I'm sitting there, I'm going, I'm just so unenthusiastic about it. I'm just so uninspired. And so I put together on my monitor, I put together a screensaver of, you've heard of like vision boards, right? Mm-hmm, where it's almost like you do for the movies, but you do it. So I put all these things on there, like a home studio, you know, hitting some golf balls, doing workshops and lectures around the world, and doing all this stuff. I put all this stuff on the screen. And the day I did that, I came into my office and I sat down after lunch, and there was a call from my agent. She had left, and I had an agent at that time. She left a message on my machine. I called her back. What's going on? So it looks like they want to let you go. I'm like, no kidding. This is great. Because I was at that decision. Do I stay here or do I quit? Or do I go? What do I do? I was at that crossroads. Do I stay or do I go? And my decision was made for me because they had upcoming shows where there weren't going to be character needs and they were reusing stuff. And they, you know, so they just said, so they want to let you go. They can lay you off. And I was just like, awesome. So that was it. You know, the decision was made. Wow. So I was sort of, it was right there. And from that point, it was, you know, I was still doing freelance for people and doing all that. I was doing caricatures. I was doing all these other things. So it didn't matter that I was being laid off because I wasn't, even though I had a family, I wasn't broke. That wasn't my only source of income. So the thing is to, while you're working, make sure you're setting up other campfires.
Right.
That's the bottom line. Don't just go to that one, be at that one campfire, because if the rain comes and the wind blows it out, you're screwed, you know, and that's where a lot of people find themselves. So I highly encourage people to say, you know, just get another campfire going, maybe one or two, you know, or just whatever you can, but just don't make excuses, you know. I mean, I was home. I had raising 2 kids, had a wife, 2 kids. And, you know, it's a lot of pressure. You get nervous. You're scared. Oh, my God, I got a family. But I knew, okay, I'm going to do this. And a lot of it is belief, you know, as hard as it may sound. So really, it's like, I'm going to do this. I'm not lazy, you know, and that's what I knew about myself. I'm not lazy. I'm going to do something, you know, I knew I was doing conventions. I was doing books. I was doing all this stuff on the side anyway. So it's like it was just you know, it was kind of fun, you know. So that's why I would encourage everyone just to get that little campfire at least started. Start gathering the wood.
Right.
Right.
And it goes back to the 80-20 thing that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
For sure.
If you continue, and that's the cool thing about all this stuff, is the more you continue to create, the more you continue to share, which is important too.
Right. Yeah.
The more you share, the more people will see and the more people will want what you're doing.
Right. Yeah.
And eventually what happens is exactly the transition that you made is you were busy. And if you have hustle and if you have dedication, if you are so good, if your skills are so good that you're working at a Disney, at a DreamWorks, at a Pixar, at a whatever,
right?
Technically speaking, you have enough skill to be successful on your own. It's just whether or not you have financial stability.
You know, or the want sometimes. You know, I think you got to determine if you're, you know, and I'm not putting this in a down way in any way or demeaning it by any chance, but you got to determine, are you a Disney employee or are you Walt Disney? You know, are you an employee? Do you just want to show up and I don't want to sell my own stuff. I don't have a business mind or anything. I have no desire to, I don't like talking to people on the phone. I don't want to, if you know, whatever it is, if that's not who you are, don't try to force that because you're going to be very uncomfortable. I think if you're just going to want to be an employee and just get a job and show up, that's great and do that. But if you feel this internal thing is like, God, I'm so frustrated all the time. Well, maybe you're a Walt Disney. Maybe you're an innovator. Maybe you have something to say. Maybe you have something to share. Maybe there's a bigger, better plan for you. And you haven't unleash the hounds yet. You know, you haven't opened up that cage and set yourself free yet because you're afraid if I go out into the real world, well, maybe something might eat me out there. So I'm just going to stay inside this cage. Right. And so I think there's a lot of creatives, unfortunately, who stay in the cage because it's safe right there, you know? So I think just, you know, be willing to go out, get out and something, you know, see what happens. You don't know. Were
you married at the time?
Yeah. Yep. So I was married. I got married. Let me see how many years ago is that? Almost like 20, no, like 17 years ago, 18 years ago, 18 years ago. So 2000. So yeah, by 2000. Yeah.
We'll edit this so you know exactly.
Yeah, right.
So when your wife watches it, she.
Yeah. So yeah,
what was her mentality behind your going out and doing your own thing?
I mean, just always supportive from the get-go, and I think that's and I knew, again, I knew whoever I was going to marry had to be someone who understood my mindset and was going to support me, and she did. She was always very supportive and encouraged me, and was always hey, I got to do this, got to do that, whatever. She knew what was going on, so cool. And I guess she just believed, she knew that I would do something, make something work. Again, we weren't like at that point, at that time, where I'm just like strapped for cash. Oh my God, we're going to lose everything if I quit here. It's just like, okay, we're earning some money by doing this. This is good. I'm earning, so it was never really a big thing, and it was always just being aware. Again, having the support is huge. I met an artist who was telling me his wife doesn't support him and all that. He was engaged to her, something, and I was telling him, dude, don't get married. Do not marry this woman. You will regret it for the rest of your life. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
We'll edit this again just in case she's listening. No, kidding. So what was that like? Was it, because, for example, if you're working at a studio, everything is pretty regimented. This is what you do. This is when you take lunch. This is when this is due. How much different is it working for yourself compared to working for a studio?
I think I just have even at the studios now, they're pretty loose to the point where a lot of people, they might roll in at 7 in the morning, or they roll in at 10 in the morning, and then lunches, give or take. And so I'm almost sort of like doing the same thing. I usually just start my work when I'm done dropping off my kids at school. I'll walk the dogs around the block, and then I'll come. So about 8:30 in the morning is when I'll start. And then I'll do the same thing. I think I just work a lot better in almost freelance when I'm just working from home. I'm pretty structured. Like I have a calendar, and every day I write down everything I want to accomplish that day, so I know exactly where I'm at. And then as long as I've fulfilled it and I'm done it, I'm on the right track, then I'm good to go. So there's no real time frame. Sometimes my days end very late at night. Sometimes they end very early in the day. So it always just varies. But I'll never work on the weekends. I never work on the weekends.
Speaking of dogs and family and everything, how's Coco?
Good. Coco, yeah, she's good. Little guard dog. Yeah, little Chihuahua mix. Yeah, she's good.
Creepy, bro.
Stalker. You got a stalker.
Yeah.
I told you, Stephen and I have been friends for a long time. Right. He just doesn't know it.
And that statement is so crazy.
How's Coco? Coco's good.
How's Coco?
So you stayed in the creative industry, but then you ended up getting into teaching.
Yeah.
Was that always in your cards? Was that always an interest of yours?
Yeah, I think so. I think I've always had that ever since I was young. I was always trying to help other artists, even when I was doing caricatures when I was like 18. It was just easy. It was just natural. And it was just this progression which led into that. And when I first started doing it in front of a classroom, it was just so, it really changed my life when I started doing that. I realized at that moment when I first started teaching in front of a bunch of people that was my calling, that this is what I'm supposed to do, that my artwork is just what it's given me is the ability to be able to teach. It was like the launching point. So now that I can acquire all this skill, I've acquired this skill as an artist and worked in this industry and done this, and this, and worked in these different fields. Now I can teach that. So that's why I feel like that became my real calling. My calling is in a character design by trade, by this what I do, but I think my real purpose is a teacher. And so that's what I just started doing, and I love it. Yeah, I love it. It's so much more fulfilling than working doing a bunch of other things, for sure.
And you have a couple teaching things happening at the same time. You have the Silver Academy,
right?
And you also have
Silver Drawing Academy, and then Schoolism, and then doing it online. So I mix between those two, and then just a lot of teaching. I do a lot of workshops just now, more around the world now, and just go and travel to different states and different countries and doing workshops and training sessions for artists. And that's really the big picture of what I want to do. But I put a lot of it on hold just because I'm waiting till my kids are out of the house, growing up and out of the house. It'll be about another 5 years. Well, at least they'll be 18 by then. And then from there, that's when I'll step into phase number 2.
And phase number 2, is it mostly teaching, or because I'm gonna jump on Dave Atzy's question here. Steven, have you ever pitched your own concept idea for a cartoon?
Yeah, I have. I had pitched a couple of shows, and they never went anywhere. But it's not something I want to do. I sort of lost after, and that was many years ago. And I realized that, I don't know that that's really what I want to do. I don't want to be in meetings all the time or be a showrunner to the point where I have friends who are showrunners, and they're, you're putting out a lot of fires a lot of the time. And I realized that I want to spend a lot of my time drawing and not having to necessarily deal with all that. So it's not a desire at all for me to do that. I like getting the opportunity to develop shows from the ground up. If someone else has a show idea and they want me to come on in and start doing developing, I love that. Yeah, that's fun.
Cool. Landon, let me know if that helps answer your question. He says, "Hey all, going off of Dave's question, would you go back to a studio to do your own show, or would you go an independent route, i.e. YouTube or Vimeo, like we were talking about earlier?"
Yeah. No, I think the only time I believe that the only time I've told myself that I would go back to a studio is if they picked up Kim Possible again. If they picked up Kim Possible and asked me to do it, and I hope they would, because I think that would be really lame if they didn't,
Right.
I definitely go back in house or work something out to make that work, because I love that working on that show. I love all the characters.
That was a great show.
They should totally bring that back.
Yeah, they're doing a live action next year, so there's a live action coming out.
Really?
Yeah. They're doing a live action that's coming out. Disney's already started casting for it. And I'm hoping that with the popularity, if it's popular, if they don't mess it up and it's awesome and it works out, maybe they'll go, hey, you know what? Let's bring back the animated show. I was just in Emerald City this last weekend. Again, I mentioned I saw probably about 12 Kim Possible cosplays. People dressed up as Kim Possible, nice. And just the people that came to my booth. And there's not one person that doesn't say, why don't they bring it back? Why don't they bring it back? And it's just like, I don't know. They're bringing back other shows. They're doing like the DuckTales and other things. It's like,
and DuckTales has also been awesome that they brought back and a little different, good style to it. But even with the Kim Possible live action, is it one of Disney's? Because right now I'm all Disney in this house, and I think that's the only thing that's on my TV. Like the two middle ones. I have Disney Junior right now. We haven't moved up to the regular channel. But is it like a regular show? So it's gonna be like a regular sitcom type show?
Oh no! So this is just gonna be. It's just a one-time movie.
Oh, so they're doing movie?
Yeah. So it's gonna be
Yeah,
made for TV movie. I believe that's what they're doing with it, or made for video. I'm not sure what their platform is going to be, But that's what I understand, that it's just going to be a one-time thing. Unless that does really well and they go, forget the animated series, let's just keep this live action going, you know?
Yeah.
Like I heard Disney's announced that they're doing they're going to be doing a Star Wars TV series. So I don't know. Maybe that's where their mind's at. I mean, they're doing live action Dumbo. They're doing a live,
really?
you know, they're doing all
They're
these.
pretty much going through the whole roster and doing live action.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
No, they do. It's like all slated. They've got like Aladdin and Little Mermaid and all that stuff.
Really?
Like,
Really?
yeah.
Jeez. See, that's what's happening.
Oh boy.
Artists
well, they need content because they're creating their own streaming service. So
sure, yeah, that's right.
But
yeah,
they've already got it there. The Disney Go thing now is really good because it's all the shows that are on there for, like, you know, for either the little kids or even the older kids. It's up there. There's a lot of their stuff up there already, and I think it's great what they have up there so far. To start adding in all the old stuff that they've had from before,
yeah,
it should be good. But if you haven't checked that app out, I don't know why you guys would, but if you ever see it, it's got a lot of good stuff.
You just got done calling me creepy because I know about Coco, and you're watching Disney Go.
But I have kids.
Good point.
That's good.
I withdraw my judginess. I have a question from Germany, actually. It's from Patrick Klubeck. He says, "Hello, Stephen. Patrick Klubeck talking here, and my question to you is, as someone being 17 years old and 1 year away from graduating high school here in Germany, and knowing that I want to do character design and illustration and nothing else, which isn't art, have the struggle now that it's time for me to choose what school to go after." I'll read it and then we can but choose what school to go to after high school and what to study. The problem is that the art schools here are rather artsy and not preparing you for the art industry. Let me make sure that this message is for you and not for me. As someone be like, okay, yeah, so this is safe. As someone like me drawing every day for the whole day, excluding school time, what would your advice be to do after graduating high school? Doing something else while doing art, trying to break into the industry? Or would you even consider taking a year off and studying in, example, schoolism? Yeah, so basically he's about to graduate high school. He wants to get into the industry doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
What are some things that he should maybe
I think if you knowing that you want to be a character designer, know that you want to get into illustration, the most important thing to do is make sure that you're drawing and observing all the time in a sketchbook. These are things that you're always going to do. You're building up the foundation for yourself, so that's never going to end. So keep doing that. And then I would suggest don't go to art school just to go to an art school. And with all these online platforms and learning, you can learn from mentors now and learn from different people. And you just find that instructor and learn from them directly. Why waste your money in that idea? It's a false hope for a degree, a piece of paper that no one in the industry even cares about. You know, it's all about just how well you can draw and what your talent is and your experience and everything else. So I always tell, I highly recommend that everyone out of high school, if they're not sure, take a year off. Absolutely. Why go straight into school? Some people have different trains of thoughts and mindsets on that, but oh no, just keep it going. I'm like, no way. Just, man, aren't you burnt out all those years from kindergarten all the way through? Take that time off. Try to find what it is you want to do. Take some online courses. Let your parents know if they're paying the bills that that's your intention. That way, it's more about setting them at ease so that they don't think you're just going to be sitting home smoking weed all day, you know, and you're just doing nothing, you know, and going nowhere, right? It's just like you're doing something. My kid's doing something. They're not just this hippie artist that wants to go you know, this is the mindset. Oh, you're just going to be an artist. And when it's just let them know what it is your intention is going to do, but follow through. Don't be lazy. But I would definitely recommend taking time off and just study the craft from the people with the industry you want to get into. Why wouldn't you? You know, you're not going to learn how to go, you know, go to a cooking convention and hope that you learn how to skydive. You know, it's just like, you know what I'm saying? It's just like that's kind of like what it comes down to. So that's why you want to go and find people that are going to help you get there quicker, so to speak.
Yeah. He went on to say, also Sketch Zone team, if you have any advice, it's greatly appreciated. I hope Monday morning art talks continue for a long time, because they are very great and motivational. Have a nice one.
Well, thank you. Thanks for listening.
Yeah. I'm going to chime in on this because being one of the people that had to pick his way through and then finally realize that, oh, I can get into drawing and I make money doing it and doing all that stuff. These days, you don't have to go to school to become a successful artist. You're a pencil and a sketch pad away from being a magnificent artist. You just have to continue to work towards it and making something happen. You can't be lazy. There was one of the Monday morning talks that you did, Stephen, where you talked about you should be drawing. Why are you sitting there playing video games for 3 days straight? You could very easily be drawing. So yeah, take the time and take a look around. As long as you're moving in the right direction, you're not wasting time.
Yeah, and it's all time. It's timing, and that's what it is. As long as you are moving and you're doing something and you're acting and you're not just making excuses, you know, it's mostly, well, I play a little bit too much video games. So that, again, the mindset's not in the right place. And so I think, again, if you want to do this, get serious about it. I mean, just really get serious. Just get focused. And the sooner, again, you know what it is you want to do, the faster you'll know, like, how to do it. You'll start to know, but because I want to do this, I want to draw backgrounds. Okay, good. Now you know you want to draw backgrounds. Well, go out and start learning perspective and start drawing buildings and parks and interiors of McDonald's or wherever you're at. You got to fill up sketch pads with these sort of observations and do that once you decide that's what you want to do. And that's where I just see a lot of people not putting in that sort of effort, yet wanting this outcome, but not willing to put in the effort.
And I would also say that, like, you know what type of person you are, you know, when looking for anything. If you're trying to figure out, you're coming out of school, because I always have a different perspective on this. I felt like the schooling that I did go to was the best one I could go to for the time that I found. But at the same time, it was, as an artist, like, and as a person, people tend to grow up a little more. You're different at age 25 than you are at age 17 or 18. So make sure that you're built for the non-school route. You know, sometimes schools have a way of growing you up a little bit for some people, and some other people it could be a waste of time. But at the same time, I feel like we always should say both sides, because I also taught for like 5-6 years at the college level, and I know that some kids couldn't do the schoolisms or the animation mentors or whatever other school you want to call it, the online schools, because they weren't built, or the Nomans or whatever. They weren't built for that. They wouldn't do it. So I wouldn't box it in and say that everybody should be not doing that. But I also would say that we live in a time now that it's very easy to figure out where you want to go and what you want to do, and to shop around and look and find the correct place. There's the big 5 or 6 or whatever, but there's a bunch of smaller ones. There's a bunch of really driven, you know, community colleges. There's a bunch of places where you can find inspiration, and then couple that with this amazing internet that we have. There's really no excuse for you not to be able to, like, go somewhere and learn how to be a successful adult in general, and then still learn how to be a successful artist from greats because the internet's there now. Whereas when me or Steven or Carlos or Jack were in school, like the internet wasn't what it was today. I was that person looking for information online while being in art school because I wanted to learn more. And like tutorials used to be, you see the first image of the square box if you're trying to learn how to model or try to draw or something. Then you get a paragraph of text, and you get the finished piece. I was the artist spending hundreds of dollars a month and not eating sometimes because I'm buying all these different art magazines from Borders and stuff like that. I was doing all that or buying or spending $500 at a con to get the art of books so I can learn different concepts and stuff like that, to find something different to model and stuff like that, because I went the whole modeling route and stuff like that and the 3D route. So now it's no excuse. I love being on Pinterest. We talk about it every week on the show or being on YouTube, and there's so much different content of great artists. And that's why we do the artist information each week, because you can find what you're interested in, while you're learning how to become an adult or a responsible artist to turn into that production artist. So I just wanted to say that also. But
I mean,
for sure.
Steven is a perfect example. He was at SeaWorld, and he had his sketchbook, and some dude saw his sketchbook, saw that he had skills, and all of a sudden he's working at Warner Brothers. What's that saying? Opportunity is where hard work and luck intersect. So if you're constantly drawing, someone's going to be looking over your shoulder, because that's what people do. They want to see, and then the next thing is, can you draw a picture of me? That's always the second question.
Right, for sure.
Oh, you draw?
Yeah.
Can you draw a picture of me?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're working at Warner Brothers.
There you go.
That's like Charlie's tutorial. I was Box, and now it's Warner Brothers.
Now you're in Warner Brothers. Draw that circle with the guidelines. Boom. Now you're
there. You go.
Disney feature.
That's right. Draw the turtle.
I drew that turtle. I think I was 14 years old when I drew that turtle, and they started sending me a bunch of marketing materials. My mom was like, "What did you do?"
Right. Yeah.
I straight called. I couldn't wait to get that little thing in my mouth. I could do that. It's easy. Right? Draw this real quick.
Don't trace it. They're gonna know if you trace it.
Yes.
And they're like, out of these designs, which one is rhythm?
Right. Yeah.
Out of these designs, which one is pacing? Yeah.
Right.
Those tests were so cool. And then you have a bunch of books. What's that all about?
Yeah, I mean, it's just getting into, again, the side sort of projects, and I wanted to start getting into self-publishing, or not self-publishing at the time. I just wanted someone else to publish a book that I had an idea, and they told me no. And then that person told me no. And I'm just like, all right, well then how am I going to do this on my own? And then I got a book on how to self-publish, and then I learned how to self-publish. And now it's been all these years of just self-publishing books and just putting it together and making it happen. And it can be a reality. It's just, you get all these overseas companies or whatever, just getting different printing quotes and just learn how to do it. Again, just building up the brand. That's what it is. Your brand building for yourself, and not being ashamed of that, and knowing that that's what you're doing, just like Walt Disney or anyone else did, or Calvin and Hobbes or whatever it may be. It's he never went to the market, all the merchandise and stuff. But again, you're building a sort of a brand, Coca-Cola, Oprah, whatever it may be. It's like you put content out there and then build it and they will come. And that's what I believe. It's just you put stuff out there, and this is how you build your own exposure. You don't wait for other people to do it for you. You don't wait for other people to tell you, oh, do this, and we'll put your name in the credits. Ooh, thank you. It's like, it's just like you just do it. And that's where it all sort of started from there. It's just building it that way. So, so it's been a good journey.
one of my favorite things about you, Steven, is that there's no sugarcoating it. Like, this is it. This is real life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you hit the nail on the head so many times, and it's just really cool to listen to you and coming from everything that you've accomplished in life. This is really, it's really cool to have someone out there that's not wrapping a pillow around the message.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because everyone is like, oh, if you work hard, you can make it too.
Right.
I'm like, I've been working hard for a long damn time.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. It's just trying to say the right thing, but here's the reality, and I think that's important. And I think when you're honest about it and you're become aware of it, you just get through all the hurdles a lot quicker. Because you're not sugarcoating anything anymore, and you're not trying to make it something it's not. This is the reality. This is the way it is. Right. This is what's actually going on out there. This is how people are being treated. This is what was being said. This is what they meant, and just say it. This is what's happening. And I think the sooner you kind of get into that mindset, I think things just like it comes with age too. I think I'm 45, but. I think it does come a little bit with age and experience. When you've done a lot of things, you start to realize how much BS is out there and how many people are just BS, just when you meet them or you just, and in the studios and some of these people, not all of them, there's a lot of great people, but I'm just saying I've come across some characters in this industry, these people where, wow, man, is this person for real? Wow, this person's really like that. Okay. It's crazy. You get agents. Baby. They say that in movies. They don't really say that. They don't call you baby in real life, do it? It's just, it's just crazy. But there's a lot of people, unfortunately. I think what you got to get past is a lot of people are in everything for themselves. So there's a lot of people, in all honesty, they're intentionally trying to screw over other people, and artists especially. They know it. Right. They know they're taking advantage of this person. They know they're trying to bamboozle. They know they're trying to tell them that their artwork is so great just to get them to give them some free stuff and hope that, man, okay, I stroke that guy's ego. He's going to hook me up now. He's going to give me something, and they'll try to take advantage of them. So a lot of that happens, unfortunately. There's a lot of shady people out there, Research people. Make sure you research people. If you're ever about to work with a company, research them. I've done that with a couple of companies, and I all of a sudden start researching them, and I see all these messages or forums, and this person did this, and now I'm like, whoa, glad I checked this before I jumped to bed with you.
Especially when you are, this is going to sound bad, but it's the truth. When you're down in Hollywood, everyone is like, oh my God, you're the greatest. Carlos, story time. So I did this iPad game, and somehow it trickled into, there was some folks in Hollywood that were doing a pilot for this show idea, and they had me come out, and I had all these cardboard cutouts and all my cartoon characters, and everything was really cool and everything. And they looked at me and they're like, yeah, man, you're cool, man. I think you're going to win this thing and all this other stuff. And they had me all pumped up and feeling good. And then I look, the crowd right next to me was like Rob Zombie and some of his folks. And they had this game, and they were all dressed up like, they had spikes and leather and chains and stuff. And I'm like, that's Rob Zombie. My little tired game isn't going to do anything against Rob Zombie.
Right. Yeah.
But they were like, oh man, you're going to kill this. You're going to be wonderful. Yeah. Like, oh man, I got
I mean, you get people making promises to you all the time because they're scared to tell you no. you know, there's a lot of, no, yeah, and then we love your work and we're going to get back to you and we're going to call you back. And so people are sitting there holding their breath thinking, wow, they really love my artwork, when really they just kind of wanted to get you out of the room in a pleasing way, or get you off the phone in a pleasing way a lot of the time, unfortunately. You know, it's just like, you know, people are just going to say things just to, again, protect themselves. They're not always going to be honest with you. So I think again, it's just sort of like knowing that, just make you stronger, make you, again, that rhino skin just kind of benefit you at the end of the day.
And that's actually, I wasn't even gonna, I didn't even have this in my brain to talk about, but it's a really good thing. You had made a video talking about don't work for free. And I don't know if you knew this, but back in when did like 2013 or something like that, it was Cartoon Brew's like 12th most read article for that year.
Oh, no kidding. Oh, yeah. No, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
So we can talk about that, because I have a strong opinion about this too. Like, what's your opinion about artists working for exposure?
Yeah, no, again, this is the hardest thing, is that there's that, you know, artists are a dime a dozen, and there's just, people unfortunately don't trust artists a lot of the time, you know, because they think they're going to be flakes. You know, I have a friend of mine who's a non-artist who was hiring artists, and his biggest fear about hiring an artist to do this book for him was, yeah, most artists are flakes and this impression that they have. And so they're more likely just to screw them over. And again, there's just so much of it. It's just rampant. And that's why I would just say to just people, just learn your rights, just don't jump to things straight away, and just know that your work does have that value, and not to just give it away to someone who's got this brilliant idea and I'm just going to give you this artwork and cross my fingers and hope something happens. It's like, because they don't value the artwork themselves. If they know they're going to get it free, so the minute you put, you know, some money on it, or just ask for what it is that you want, you know, in any sort of deal that you do, but you got to make a living at this. I mean, that comes down to this, what we're dealing with here. You just got to make a living at this, and you want to make a living and not be a starving artist. So yeah, just again, so everyone else just promising all this exposure. They're gonna, you know, do this poster and you can have a ticket, you know, to the show. Oh, thanks, you know.
What was it? Someone sent me a link on Instagram that was like, hey, design, spend all this time working on this design, and as a reward, your design will be on our t-shirts.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't even get a damn t-shirt.
Yeah.
You're just doing the work for literally free.
Yeah.
Exposure.
Yeah. No. So yeah. I mean, try to avoid it. Try to avoid certain competitions. Not all. Some competitions are healthy ones and good. You know, it's like they're good. You know, it's nice and healthy, and everyone's. You know, it's a fun thing, but at the end of the day, you get to own your own artwork still, and the company's not making money off of your submission or owning it and saying that you can't do anything now, and they own it also. You just got to read the fine print and make sure that whatever you're submitting, that they don't claim that it's now theirs and they can alter it and change it. That's not a company. What's that? You know, it's just like, that's just, again, you're doing spec work, or just this. It's for the most part, you know, you're like just giving it for free at that point, and just giving someone ideas for nothing. And this is where everyone gets thrown into that. And I think you got to be just so careful. You just got to be careful with that. Don't, and it's more rampant now because of the internet. So the internet's a great thing, but it's also a curse too. And you just, I think, you know, understand your pricing, know what you want. And don't be afraid to ask for money. You know, this again, people get so nervous and scared to ask for what they want. So all you can do is, you know, ask. The worst anyone's going to say is no. You know, and that's what it comes down to.
And I think one of the big things is, if you continue to build the different fires like you were talking about, you're going to be so excited to get back to your projects that other people's projects are going to be getting in the way of you and your own progress.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
And you're not going to want to do work for those other people because you got your own stuff to get to.
That's right. That's right. You're interfering with my stuff, man. So I want to do my own stuff.
I want to talk a little bit more about your drawing academy.
Okay.
If people are interested in that, what can they expect? What should they do? How do they get to it?
Yeah, now, so just on my website, just silvertoons.com, under the classes section, it's an application process. So I just take 5 students at a time. And the reason I do that is just because it's just a lot more intimate to that point where I can really focus on your work, really give you solid feedback on top of your artwork. And it's just better than having 20 students. Let's just, you know, put it that way. And my goal is just to prepare them for this industry, prepare them to start their own, think about their own businesses, building their own brands. I want to give them information as to the ins and outs of what you to expect if you want to get into the studios. But and then just teaching them a skill set. I'm teaching them just a lot of new ideas and concepts, and trying to teach them new habits, how to form new habits with their artwork, so that they can break out of their old zones and try new things, and step out of their comfort zone, so that after the 8-week course, they can walk out of there going, I know what to do now. I've been armed. I've been given the tools to now build my own shed. And that's the real heart of what I want to do, is just give people that, so that now you know what to expect. You know what to do. It's all up to you. You can't have people hold your hand the whole time, and stop waiting for that. Stop looking for that. So you can't. And that's why I feel a lot of people, they're just looking for the answer. They're looking for the pixie dust. They give me the pixie dust. Let me, you know, put it on me. Give me the powers. Give me everything right away. And that's not just, it's not happening. But I think once I can. So my goal is just to, be a mentor, be a guide, and help you break through those barriers, and even more so break into the industry if that's what you want to do.
That's awesome.
I want to be careful when I move forward with this, but we're talking about educating and networking and everything like that. What, and there's just one video that I think, you know, the one that I'm talking about, but as far as networking events and getting to meet people, the meet and greets, and to show my portfolios and stuff like that. Are you a fan of expos, animation expos and stuff like that?
I am a fan of expos. I'm a fan of conventions. I'm a fan of artists meeting artists. And I'm a fan of the concept behind the animation expo that's currently out there right now for the artists. And also, you know, for the CTN, because that's what we're talking about, CTN Expo. I love the artists that are there. I love the artists that attend there, and the artists, and all those artists have good intentions. Those artists are all self-motivators. They're creating their own properties. They're going out there. They're in the studios, and I think it's a great way for everyone to get together. The problem with that specific expo is just everything happening behind the scenes, you know, behind it, that it's almost like, in a horrible way, it's like what's happening, you know, with what happened in Hollywood. You know, you got these horrible people, you know, these Harvey Weinstein people, these guys, you know, doing some horrible, oh my God, that guy did that. What the hell? You know, these people are doing these horrible things, and people aren't talking about it, or people are supporting it. But I think if people knew what was really going on, they wouldn't support it. And that's what happened. So people stopped supporting certain movies and doing certain things because they realized, oh my God, that bastard, they did that. So all I want to do is educate people that I don't want to personally support someone, and I don't think other people should, where it's an industry where someone is just, you know, just doing such, treating people so badly, and just doing so many wrong things. You're screaming at people and mistreating people and all this. And I think if people knew what was going on with that, well, you're not going to support it. So I just can't support that, because here you are trying to say you're all about just the community and networking. So you're luring all these young people in and you're charging them for everything. Pay this, pay this, pay that. They're spending a fortune. And it's not about the artists at CTN, because those guys are the good guys. It's about what's going on behind the scenes. So I can't support giving my money, or I don't, and doing all that towards this person who I know is just taking advantage and abusing people and mistreating people. It's like me supporting Harvey Weinstein, saying, no, man, you're a great dude, man. You're just awesome. And I'm going to keep going to all your stuff because and it's like, and that's where I get into that. But connecting with people is vital, And so now, that was the only place, but there's another great expo, the Ground Zero Animation Expo, with this girl who started this 3 years ago, who's a beautiful human being, who's doing everything to make it a real community event and doing stuff to make people, she's doing it the right way. It's like $10, $15 admission, and you meet these people and just doing it the right way. And it's like with good intention, good heart, not trying to gouge people, really trying to create a community. And that's something that I can get behind and support. Like I can a lot of these conventions, San Diego Comic-Con, WonderCon, Emerald City Con, all these, they're good places. Getting into this with artists, when you go to a convention and you see what these artists are doing, all these people just starting their own businesses, creating their own comics, creating their own fan base, creating all this, is just like, there is no excuse. All this stuff is so possible. And when you see it there, you're just like, wow, this is beautiful. Look what artists have been able to do. And they're all connecting with each other, and people are getting, hey, where'd you get that printed? Hey, where'd you get those buttons made? Where'd you get that? And it's just like sharing of information. And you see how other people set up their booths, and you get inspired by that and go, that's a great way to set up a booth. Hey, where'd you get that rack? And this is what we need to do. And this is because now all these artists, we get to rely on the public, and we get to be the Disney store. We get to be the convenience store. We get to be where the general public comes in and goes, I don't need to buy it at Disney store. I don't need to buy it from them. I'm going to buy it directly from the artist. I love that. I love what you're doing. I love your book. I love your T-shirts. I'm going to pay. That has value to me. I'm going to buy that because that's meaningful to me. Otherwise, my daughter is going to love that, or my grandfather is going to love that, whatever. And that's why these are important, to have that, for artists, for us to keep creating, do it for ourselves, and enjoy the process with this. But yeah, conventions are great, but no, the CTN, I can't support that one anymore. But I know there'll be other ones popping up, and Ground Zero Animation Expo is the next one coming up. And it's going to be in Anaheim, and I believe it's in June or July.
You going to that one, Stephen?
Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be doing a panel there. I'll have a table there, and fully support that,
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
Nice. And it's in Anaheim. I think we might have to come and check you out.
Yeah, for sure. Come and check it out. It's going to be great. She's putting together a great lineup of guest speakers and storyboard artists, directors, just everything out there. So but it's done again. I feel this is the right way to do it. She's doing it the right way and not trying to take advantage of people.
How many days is it, guys? If you guys,
what's that?
Just the two, I think.
I think it's 2 days.
Weekend, Friday, Saturday type deal.
Yeah, it's going to be there like a Friday and Saturday, or it's just a Saturday and Sunday. But it's called Ground Zero Animation Expo.
Yeah. Jump on.
Go check it out.
I was going to pull it up real quick, but I'll have to do a search. We talk about going to different industry related events like that on the show all the time.
Yeah.
Especially if you're working on your own for yourself, you start getting a little bit stagnant, where if you get out of the office and go to an event and talk to like-minded people who who understand your passion for different kinds of pencils and everything like that. You get to geek out and you get to, just have fun and it recharges your batteries.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, it really does.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think
so that's why if you can go to an event that's flawless, that's easy to go and deal with things, you're getting all the juices and inspired and filling up, as opposed to, oh my God, oh man, I was supposed to go here in this ticket and I can't even get into this thing and that becomes frustrating. So you don't want to put yourself in that. But all these conventions are great for this. I think it's absolutely right. What you're saying is you're just recharging your battery. You go in there and you can get motivated and go, you know what, I can do this. If they can do it, I can do it, and I think that's a good thing to have happen to you.
Yeah, and then you meet friends, you meet contacts. It's really great. I think even the last big one I went to was in LA at SIGGRAPH. We did that one. Oh yeah. And me and Carlos drove down and crashed at the Airbnb with me. But the whole week was great
because I did crash my car too.
You did. I was like, he was like, I'll be there in like 2-3 hours. I'm going to the different
10 hours later,
different things. I'm like, dinner time's coming around. I'm like, I should call Carlos. I'm almost there. 2-3 hours later, I'm almost there. Then I call him again, and he's like, so I got to tell you what happened to me on the way here. I'm here now, but I have a story.
Right.
But it was a great recharging of the batteries, if you will, as well as like learning a lot. We got to meet a lot of different people. Some people on the show. I think it was all around like art overload for me. I think all week. I think I even got to go to we even ventured out and found Jack. And Jack was doing art showing. So I was like, I got best of both worlds. Where there's an art showing. He was showing off his art at this like community art showing or whatever. Where was it at, Jack?
It was the downtown art walk.
Yeah, downtown art walk. And then we got really good food from the different food trucks. It was just like and you got to go through all these different art galleries. It was like a little bit of both. So you had the convention stuff, but then you also had like, the grassroots stuff too.
Right. So that's great. Fun. Yeah, that's almost like
so. I do it, guys. Get out there and like meet other people and
absolutely.
And, that's a cool vacation to me.
Oh yeah,
that's got both sides of the coin: rest as well as like staying busy with what you love to do.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah,
sweet.
For just to get this out there, I just found it. The Ground Zero Animation Expo is in Santa Ana, and it's June 9 and 10th. So that is Saturday and Sunday.
Perfect.
Okay, cool.
GZAexpo.com.
I think we got another question too.
We'll put a link in the show notes.
Yeah, that's great.
We have a couple of them here. One of them, the really fast one, is hello Silver. I really love your applications. I can only buy the Android one, but for the other, only for
Apple. He wants to
for Apple users. Oh, okay. There's an offer that you have for your apps on Apple or on iPhone. I guess that's not available on Android.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think, some of those, I'm not sure which ones aren't available on the Android. Exactly. It's been a while. And my programmer that is my partner, friend of mine doing all that stuff, he kind of knows, he kind of knows more about the actual platforms than I do. I know that most of them were, I think there was just a couple of them that we couldn't, just because of a lot of it, there was so much more stuff that needed to be done. We needed to kind of this whole conversion thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sorry about that.
And then let's see. Landon Wilson says, any tips on dealing with clients when working freelance? Some can be more difficult than others.
Listen, just always, just be a team player. I mean, they will be. I think just always be polite, and it's a crapshoot. You don't know.
Yeah, you gotta work through it. Work through it. Some are good, some are bad.
That's it. Yeah, you just don't know. You don't know. You get some bad apples out there.
I was on a different podcast last week, and the host, Diane Gibbs, asked me, what's something that you're going to focus on in the next month? And I said, paying off my credit card, because when you don't have any debt, you don't necessarily have to take a client.
You don't owe nobody nothing.
That's right.
You don't know me. So yeah, like if you owe, let's say you owe credit cards or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And your and your debt to income ratio is completely whacked, and you feel like you have to take on all this extra work.
Right.
No matter how needy or how much of a pain in the ass the client is.
Right,
whereas if you're working from you're just building up your riches,
right?
Yeah.
You can tell people to fly a kite,
right?
And you don't have to. You're not worrying about whether or not you're going to eat this week.
Sure, sure. Yeah, this is again part of why having another campfire going is going to be essential, that when it comes up, you can make that decision. Hey, do I want to do this, or do I need to do it? You know, type of thing too.
And it's okay to fire clients.
That's right.
It's okay to fire clients. I think that's it as far as questions go.
Let me check on
the public questions go.
Check with Twitch here just to make sure.
Check my notes real quick.
Yeah, we're good over here.
Yep.
I think since we had the YouTube chat up on Twitch, I think all the parties over on YouTube this week. Some guys that were in Twitch show up talking on YouTube. YouTube chat. Yeah. Cool.
Noah just kicked in and he said, did you ever refuse a job because of the product's values?
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think. I mean, I feel like yes, but I can't. I mean, it's a good question. There's nothing that's like jumping to the top of my mind, but I've turned down a bunch of jobs before, and I think it's all just been and always have all different sort of reasons. But it can be just based on, I think I'd mentioned earlier that just looking at jobs and where people have wanted me to do a job, but then I research their site and research who they are, or just different comments, and realize based on, again, it's value based, I guess, on what they do and how they've treated other people and what other people have said about their company. I've decided not to work for them. So yeah, I guess that sort of like goes around.
That makes
full
sense.
Circle there.
Yeah, that does make sense.
So with that being said, let's go ahead and play.
Here they come. Here they come, yo. Here they come. Here they come.
Steven Silver, this or that? Sketchpad or iPad?
Sketchpad.
Teaching or concepting?
Teaching or concepting? Teaching for me.
Nice. Since I do somewhat stalk you online on YouTube.
Somewhat? Go ahead.
Did you hear that,
I
Coco?
see you.
Speak your truth.
Did you hear that, Coco? That's funny. I notice all your tools when you're getting down digitally. Sketchbook Pro or Photoshop?
Oh, Photoshop.
Nice.
Ooh, classic. Sorry, I'm all ad-libbed into it.
Caricatures or character design?
Ooh. Wow. I like both of those. I think I'm going to go with, because I can incorporate caricature into my character designs, I'm going to go with character design.
Nice.
Nice. I like it when people work they smudge the lines.
That's right. That's right.
Take a step back and like,
whenever I talk to people that are fans of cartoons, I find that they're one or the other of these. Are you more Disney or are you more Looney Tunes?
Ooh. See, this is a hard one because I feel like it's hard because I grew up more with Looney Tunes than I did Disney, but I've always loved the, Disney stuff. But I think based on that, I'm going to have to go with, I think I've invested more hours in Looney Tunes than I have Disney.
Nice. Man after my own heart. Would you rather attend a Comic-Con or an industry-related event like Ground Zero Animation Expo?
Oh yeah, I think definitely more like an industry, like Ground Zero Animation Expo, more of an industry base. Again, I love the Comic-Con, but I love it when there's all people. Again, it's like when everyone's animation minded. It's like there's a different energy, that you feel. Because there's a different, there's definitely a difference with comic book people and animation people for sure.
Cool. And that is this or that. Thank you for playing.
Thank you.
So now we can move into. I told you we were cheesy.
Hey, it's great.
This week I want to show everyone Olga Andreyenko.
Awesome.
I like it already.
Were you gonna spell check me?
Yep.
Pronunciation check.
I had to double check it for a second there.
And this is for it's a double hitter for me because it's not only is she amazing, but she's a woman, and today is, what's the proper terminology?
International Women's Day or something.
There you go.
Or something.
And I'm not trying to belittle it. I just don't want to say the wrong thing.
Right.
No, you're good. International Women's Day. It is.
So anyway, my girl Olga, she works the hell out of Photoshop.
She's got
some environment. Let's go back to here where she's got some really cool digital sketches.
Completely different style there.
I absolutely love this one.
Drunk.
Oops.
Just done.
This is what it looks like in Sonoma every weekend. Every weekend I see this.
Just done. But why deceiving? Yo.
So yeah, she's
nice.
There's a lot of movement.
Yeah.
There's a lot of whoa.
Highlighter. Crazy.
OCD. She's OCD.
That's fun.
A lot of different body types.
Yeah.
I think this is something that we were talking about before, where you don't want to get stuck drawing the same thing over and over again.
Sure, right.
She's got all kinds of different, just the style between this one and this one, right? This one, she varies her style very well, and she's really good at no matter what she's putting out there. So let's see. Here's a big bad wolf.
Nice.
Yeah, all of them are really different. Like I wonder if he's like,
here's a big ass cow out of nowhere. Just
really make like a great storyboard artist too. There's people who sometimes, again, I don't know what she does for a living, but there's a lot of artists that I find that want to do one thing and they neglect their potential of really doing all these other things. They go, I just want to be a concept artist, but you know what? You'd be a great storyboard artist, or something like that, right? Because you're the sketch and the line and the energy and the life that's in there. And so if you want to work, don't, think about other opportunities. Don't just think, one-sided. It's just got to be this job or nothing. You know, it's like because sometimes it could take a lot longer. So maybe just to break into the studios or something. But again, I don't know what she does. Looks like she just mentioned like Inktober stuff here.
Yeah, it says up here concept and comic.
And comic artists. Okay, so she does.
But
comics.
I wanted to come back here and take a look at this, like the angle of this drawing. We're underwater looking up.
Right.
You don't realize it until you see these two guys here. You don't see their heads, and it's because they're out in water.
Well, check out the shadows or silhouettes of the what looks like a
yeah.
I didn't even see that. So it's popping out at me.
And it's super
just
loose.
Nice little concept. Yeah. Super loose again, nice little idea, you know.
Apparently she's been to Chicago. So yeah, take a look at Olga. It's artstation.com/Azurocks, ASUROCKS. Azurocks.
Beautiful.
All right. Charlie, Jack, Stephen, anyone wants to go next?
I'll go. So I had a really kick-ass 3D artist I was going to show off this week. But in honor of Stephen being on the show with us, I'm going to pull out a 2D artist, show that off. So let's check this out. We got, let me pull it up. I just lost it. Hold on real quick. Oh no. And my artist is also female today. We'll do the art station, and then I'll also give you her Instagram. So my artist today, her name is Ashley West. She goes by Gang Feather on Instagram and other places. So if you look up Gang Feather, GANGFEATHER on Instagram, you can find her, or you can look up Ashley West. She's there also. Check her out. Her Instagram is awesome. I have her from. She's one of my Instagram people that I was following, and I remember that today. I was like, oh yeah, let's show her. So let's check her out. I like her style. I tend to gravitate to artists like this, where their line work is really, really amazing. We'll come back to her color stuff, but like, look at some of these drawings. You know, I love seeing sketchbooks. I love seeing like all the construction lines and stuff like that. But she has really, really, really thick lines on all of her stuff. But it's really cool, and it's really detailed stuff. You know, and then like I like her character design from this stuff too. Like I want to, you know, this is some character development for a Kickstarter. You know, and there's a link in there for the Kickstarter, so Carlos can go check that out and possibly fund it later. So, cool.
Carlos doesn't have that problem anymore because Carlos has to kickstart his own bills.
Other ones. But I did want to show off these these sketchbooks. Man, carrying around sketchbooks in college and still carrying around smaller versions. I have one, my own little piece book, but like, yo, I just love this. Looking at this stuff, this type of sketches. Like I just like, man, the pencil's probably like dead after she gets done with it. And then there's a bunch of things. So you're getting kind of the idea. Yeah. You know, it's like this very like graffiti, street art inspired, sci-fi, pinup. You know, kookiness to it. A little bit of like Asian influence and stuff too. You know. This stuff is like awesome. Like I love these characters. These could be like some cool ones to bring to life in 3D and stuff too. Also,
yeah, I can totally see that in 3D.
Right. So like, I search out for ones like that because I'm like, ooh, like I should just contact her and try to do one of these.
Should do the fan art
for sure.
Yeah, I might. So you've gotten a really good look at some of her like her really nice like sketches. Now I'm going to treat you to some of the color stuff. I can keep going on and on with the sketches stuff here real quick, but Now I'm gonna treat you some of the color stuff here in a second here. See if it comes up. Uh-oh. I'm missing something. What's going on? Oh, it's loading. I'm having loading. Wow. There you go. Let's come back. And now let's show some color.
Maybe color takes extra bandwidth.
Yeah, like it's like pretty big. But look, so you got the start of it. And some of the drawings. Where did the color go here? I love that she's posted like really large images. So then you have some of the process here. I think she's using like color pencils and like marker, crazy. But I love when they do this, like, where it's like jumping off the page, It's just like, color pencils, and write kind of a little bit of white and stuff over it, There it is. Really cool. Really cool stuff. So you have some digital stuff in here too. They're just as nice too, It's really cool. So these are like without shading, just the flat colors, and then like start putting in the shading and highlights stuff.
I wonder what she would do if she did a
robot fish.
A demon belly dancer prowling.
Yeah, that's right. The next show.
Now we're getting into some Copic markers. I love Copic markers. Expensive as hell. If anybody want to sponsor me and buy me a whole set, it'd be great. Go ahead and contact me. Information to the show. Cool. But I always like a good Copic marker rendering. There's some other ones in here, and then I'm a fan of like colored paper. The natural papers and stuff like that, and using markers like that. That's always looks cool too. Check this out here. Bam, that's awesome. I think it's a tongue. I don't know what it is, but it's great.
That's crazy. Whenever I see things like that, I wonder what those people's dreams look like.
Yeah, right.
It's so awesome.
That's hilarious.
It is. Really nice stuff.
See, it's people like that ruin other people's sketchbooks. Like you look at that and you're like, oh man, I can't draw on my sketchbook. I can't
step it up.
Gotta be right.
Oh, they have some speed inks, yes. Oh, now
I'm not gonna sit through 5 minutes of speed ink.
You won't. That's cool. Great stuff. Check that out. So cool. I love when they have like a lot of content. So yeah, because
she's
like you said, she could be like a storyboard artist and some other things. So these look like frames from like animated features or something. So cool. Check her out. Her name is Ashley West. Her Instagram, she's at Ashley West on Instagram also. So check her out. So if you want to, if you're on Instagram a lot. I like Instagram too because it's really she has it all truncated down. Look, she's posting pretty frequently on Instagram, on different stuff. And I think right now that stuff that we showed here, she's in this type of phase of stuff, where like it's really kind of light and like airy and dreamy a little bit, but with all that detail she puts in there, it looks pretty cool. So check her out. That's her name, nice. Ashley West, aka Game
Excellent. Thank you, sir.
Check her out.
Jack, looks like you're ready.
I'm ready to go. I'll try to keep it quick. I know we've been. So this is goes by the name Pia, but his real name is Pierre Antoine Moello. Just go to PEAH-art. I just dig the style. It's like super designy and like cutesy kind of children's book, but it's also got like a 3D flair to it. Like he really renders facets and shapes and surfaces kind of cool.
It's 2D?
Yeah, it's all 2D.
Okay.
Very viz dev driven, it's like almost like layout, background designer work. But I really like his bizarre characters. They're like kind of clearly like anime and Japanese inspired, but he's got, and then he's got this whole series of islands, which I just adore. I've got a book of these.
Yeah, those are cool.
Yeah, I've had that island in my background. I didn't know this was the guy who did these. Awesome.
But speaking of fan art. So what's cool is when you do something like this, you know, he's got these characters, and he was messing around with some After Effects animation himself. He's pretty limited, clearly not trained as an animator. But then you get this place called sheepspace.tv, which is a post-production house, and they did exactly what you were suggesting. They contacted him, and they did fan art, which is just amazing to me. And it's badass.
Awesome.
It's like
That's
crazy
cool.
awesome.
Lord.
Wow, yeah.
Like how you get a company just calling you and being like, yeah, we're going to produce your little cartoon guys for free.
Right, no kidding. Wow, that's amazing.
And the part that cracks me up is this work is better than their like regular work.
Oh, really?
Oh, shut up.
Yeah, because if you look through, I mean, I'm not knocking them in any sort of way, but you know, you look at their other stuff and there's a certain level of quality, but this stuff is like stunning to me. So
Yeah.
check him out. He's got a lot of work. I'm not going to scroll through it all, but PEAH Art, and he'll come right up.
Nice.
That post that company made it look like
You got the
shot
little
of
book
miniatures
here.
or something. That was awesome.
Sold book.
What is that?
Very cool.
That's his. I got one of his books.
Yeah, his book too. Oh, man, I'm jealous.
Nice.
Awesome.
Cool.
Good pick.
Steven, do you have anyone you want to?
Well, yeah, because how do you share the screen? How do you do it? How do you?
If you move your mouse on the left, there's a green icon. It's a green monitor with a white arrow.
Oh, right. Yeah.
If you click on that,
Oh, okay.
and you can even just go to the application window and select a window. So then that way we don't see all your business.
So what do? You go and you hit.
You click that icon, and you should get
I got all the different screens there showing me a bunch of.
So it says your entire screen, or you can click on the button to the right that says application window.
Oh, okay.
And then that way you can single out the one window.
Have your web page up that you have that you want to show, and it'll show up in that little listing with all the other screens.
Oh, okay. Well, I think I start. It's just saying start screen share, but oh well, that's fine. I don't know what you guys can see and what you can't see.
Very cool.
We can see, we can see your browser. We can see your shortcuts too, but
Ooh, I like this.
Everything seems to be.
So I just want to show you. This is Trudy. She was one of my former students, and I love her portfolio. I love the way she puts stuff together, and it's just really just fun. Again, sort of like showing just a lot of the variety of one type of idea, through there. It's just some nice fun explorations with characters. Let me see here. I'm not sure what's going on.
I like how that dude's beard turns into like a scarf around the back of his head.
It's like creating the lineup, the importance of like creating a lineup here, just taking ideas of just, pushing poses. There's a lot of, I think, just a lot of nice characteristics and shapes in the way it's sort of like pushing shapes through there with personality. It's just very cool.
Is she done? She out of school? Has she graduated? Where is she?
Yeah. So she's out of school. I'm not sure where she lives or anything. I actually hire a lot of artists too, because I get asked all the time, can you recommend someone? Can you do that? So a lot of my students that I've had, I have their websites and their portfolios. I help them sort of arrange them or put stuff together. So she was doing some stuff. I referred her for a feature project, and she's working on the feature. Now the directors hired her to work on the feature project. But yeah, just a lot of cool stuff that she has.
What's her name?
Her name is Trudy Elizabeth, and it's trudymonteith.wixsite.com up there. But yeah, anyway, some cool stuff going on there.
Awesome. We'll get her link on the show notes, and if you're listening wherever, well, the link will be on the YouTube page too, so that'll be cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, cool. All right. So now just how do I stop the screen share there? I guess
Let's go back to that same icon. There we go. Got it.
There you go. Excellent. All right. Well, Steven, man, people say you don't want to meet your heroes, but you are definitely not that. You're the opposite. You're the opposite of that. You are so cool, and it was so fun.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, thanks guys for making this happen and doing what you guys are doing. You guys, again, it's part of what you guys are doing. What we were talking about today. You're just starting. You're doing your own thing here. You've created your own podcast, and doing this live and sharing information, meeting new artists. So, this is all part of it. So yeah, but thanks. I appreciate you guys having me on, and I think this was awesome. Hopefully it was helpful for a lot of people out there watching. That they got something out of it.
Totally.
There was a lot. There was a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Were like, okay, we gotta go to bed.
Yeah.
Their cups were full.
That's right. Well, awesome.
If people want to find you online, where can they find you?
The best place is just silvertunes.com. is my website, and I have my events and stuff on there, and then my Facebook page. And the problem is, with all the Facebook and all these other Instagrams, it's not just my name now because my name was taken. So I had to add other things on them, and I don't remember the other things that I added on them. So I can't just say Facebook /Steven Silver / something that, it's always on Instagram. I don't know. I get confused with all this.
But if you go to Silvertunes,
silvertunes.com, that'll put you in the right direction.
All right, cool, perfect. Hey, Charlie, if people are looking for you, where can they find you?
You can find me on my site, carcollector.com/Charlie B. Williams, Twitter, CBW3, Instagram, CharlieBW3, Almighty Pinterest, check it stuff out there, CharlieBW3, bunch of different things, good information, a lot of stuff there. Get it in your life. Check it out.
Excellent. Jack, where can people find your stuff?
You can find me, as always, at sketchbookjack.com and sketchbookjack pretty much everywhere else.
And you can find me at coconutjustice.com. Coconut Justice pretty much everywhere else. This is Sketch Zone. You can find us at sketch.zone. If you're watching on Twitch, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe button. You can find us on Facebook. We're on Instagram, YouTube, obviously. But if you go to sketch.zone, we got links to everything there. But if you're listening not on YouTube, you can if you're sitting in traffic and you're looking to find something really funny to listen to, you can find us on Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play Music, and of course iTunes. That's pretty much it for us for this week. Thanks again, Steven.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you
coming on.
Thank you,
this
guys.
was great. I'm gonna go back and watch this right when we're done.
For another 3 hours.
Get learned.
Yeah, get all you need in there.
That's it for us, guys. Everyone have a good week.
See you
All
guys.
right, take care.